and give and do it at the right time, and the right time is now to listen to a podcast about the footballs. But this time we're in the same room at the same time. Will the clothes still be on by the end of the podcast, or will they be on the floor?
Knowing you and I, maybe in the middle. I don't think on the floor. I think it would just be like, ooh, jauntily thrown over the back of a chair or something.
Keeping the t-shirt on like we're swimming abroad.
And the socks.
Oh, yes. Never forget the socks. But welcome to the Hold and Give Football Podcast. First and foremost, up the Lionesses once again. A valiant effort in the World Cup final on Sunday. It just wasn't meant to be. But did you know that Michael Ballack is going out with the 21-year-old friends of his now deceased son?
How old's Michael Ballack?
Michael Ballack is 47 years of age, and he's going out with model Sophia. Oh, God, here we go. Can you see the name? Schneiderhan.
Sophia Spider-Man.
Sophia Spider-Man. After the pair apparently grew close following the untimely death of Ballack's son Emilio back in 2021 after he was crushed by his own quad bike.
Ooh.
But he was pictured, and I regret to say this, he was pictured in the Daily Mail, everybody, this week, neck and on with Sophia Spider-Man. And I thought it was interesting that just to see how the former Bayern Munich, Chelsea, Germany international was getting on with his life these days.
A dirty old Ballack's, it seems.
A dirty old Ballack's indeed.
I didn't even mean to make a pun then. That was a happy accident. That was
you
good.
Never admit when it's a mistake. It's fine. It's
no,
fine.
I like to be upfront.
That's all right.
That's why they call me Crystal Clear Clive F.
Crystal clear, Clive F. At this time, we must mention the Hold and Give Fantasy Football League. The code is in the description down below. Not a link this week. I've sorted my arse out and I've got a code for you. Just enter the code in and join. 3 weeks into the game now, but even still, after 3 weeks of me doing nothing, you'll still be ahead of me in the table because I am the worst FPL player this season, bar none.
I'm slightly better than you, but not by much.
It's a disgusting twist of fate what's happening. And now we move on to the biggest and best segment of the podcast so far. It's time for Clive F's On This Day He Pees Freely. What happened on this day in football history?
Well, it's August 23rd, 2023.
Is it?
It is.
Bloody Nora.
I was up at 5 a.m. and straight onto a train all the way up from Liverpool, and I am feeling like I've had my head kicked in.
That's the last time you get to mention it, right?
That's the last time.
That's the last time.
Okay.
We're going to battle through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But considering my memory usually when I'm alert and peppy, we could be in for a bumpy ride. But forget today.
That's just classic Clive F, though, a bumpy ride.
You
telling
socks
me.
on.
Saxophones are playing.
Yeah.
He told me before we came down here, he plays 3 musical instruments. One being a saxophone, one being a bass. Was it a bass or a double bass?
Bass.
Just a bass.
Guitar. Exactly like that.
That's not how they sound at all.
Yeah.
And what was the third one?
Violin.
A violin. And I just thought he was taking the P155 because of the character that is Clive F. And those being 3 relatively saucy instruments to play.
Yeah.
But you're not, are you?
No.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Live performance next week.
Not for, yeah, I must admit, it's been decades since I've touched a violin or a saxophone. And I only got to grade 2 on the violin and grade 1 on the saxophone. But if you gave me one, I could rudimentarily play it.
How hard can it be? How hard can it be, I should say?
Saxophone's quite hard.
Just put it in your mouth and blow.
No,
you
got to
steady thou. I heard you coming down the corridor.
You've got to have a good embouchure, otherwise you're not going to get a sound out of it.
What the hell does that mean? Is that like Kavorka?
It's like Kavorka. Yeah. Yeah. It's the shape of your mouth on the actual.
Give me the shape of your mouth while blowing on a saxophone.
So, right, my thumb is the saxophone bit, and you've got the reed underneath here because it's a woodwind, and there's a slight gap. And what it's about the vibration as you blow. So you got your teeth on the top, and it's like you roll your bottom lip over your bottom teeth, and put your tongue just kind of near it, and blow. Knowing my luck, somehow the ghost of John Coltrane will be listening and be like, that technique is bollocks, son. But that's the basic technique for a reeded woodwind instrument.
There you go. You live and learn, everybody. You live and learn. Unless you already knew that, which in case, fair play.
Yeah. But August 23rd, 1958. You ready for this?
That was the year my sweet mother was born.
Yeah?
Not on this day, though.
No.
July the 8th. Bit earlier. Should have been a few weeks old at this point, and no doubt being an arsehole.
And she was probably at Brighton and Hove Albion's second division debut, where they got battered 9-0 by Middlesbrough with Brian Clough scoring 5 goals.
He was prolific, wasn't he? While you're talking about that, I'm going to get his goal scoring record up because it's one of my favourite things. You hear Brian Clough, you just think, oh, one of the greatest managers in this domestic league we've ever seen over here. But in terms of being a striker for the better, Hep the better.
Hep the better. It's one of my favourite films, despite, the validity of it being questioned, is The Damned United. Yeah. And there's the bit, obviously, where he, takes it on the chest, keep you up, he's at 3 times, hits it on the phone. He's like, 100 goals in how many appearances?
I'll tell you, for Middlesbrough, between the years of 1955 and 1961, 222 appearances in all competitions, 204 goals. That's in the second division for league games and whatnot, but even still. Whoa.
Yeah.
Ding dong. The Lee Trundle of his day.
Brian Clough was the Lee Trundle of his day. Does that make Peter Taylor the Steve Guppy? The brains of the operation.
The Leon Britton.
So, we'll jump from Brian Clough to 1978. And it was the home debut for Ozzy Ardiles and Ricky Villa for Tottenham Hotspur. So nearly 48,000 packed into White Hart Lane. It was a ticker tape parade. The lot. Spurs lost 4-1 to Aston Villa.
To Windy Cup for Tottenham. Great line. They need to bring those back, those FA Cup final songs, don't they?
Yeah.
Is it Ozzy or Ricky who says that line? It's Ozzy, isn't it?
I want to say
to
Ozzy.
Windy Cup for Tottenham.
I don't know if that's going to need cutting or not.
No, it's fine.
It's on the nose.
I know it's on the nose, but that's what I do.
But people whose accents you definitely can't, do impersonations of. 2015, Steven Gerrard's LA Galaxy took on Frank Lampard's New York City. Has someone closed the door?
Steven Gerrard just interjected himself into a conversation.
So it was promoted as like a Clash of the Titans, but Frank Lampard didn't even feature. LA won 5-1 thanks to a Robbie Keane brace. So
all the big hitters are there.
Childhood fan of LA Galaxy, Robbie Keane,
It's my dream to be here. Knock all the accents out the park today.
I liked Robbie Keane at Liverpool. He had a good half a season, and then we thought we can get our money back. Why not?
Yeah, because I remember the game away at Arsenal when he scored that volley, and everybody's like, I can do it. I can play for the Reds. But why didn't it work?
I don't know. I thought it did. I don't know if there was because me and my good friend Josh, before when we hadn't won anything in years, we'd keep watching that season review DVD. That was our holding on to Alan Shearer's goal scoring record. It was like, if things were different, and just the thing that always jumped out was, Robbie Keane was. He had a good purple patch, but I think it was just a case of we could get the money back, if not a couple more.
Yeah.
Might as well.
7 goals in all competitions in 28 games for Liverpool.
Which sounds worse than it was.
Yeah. I just remember that one goal he got against Arsenal away on the half volley over his
Absolute
shoulder.
peach, yeah.
Oh, in that weird kit. You were wearing a grey shirt and red shorts, I seem to recall.
Yeah, we were.
Disgusting.
It's because our away kit, I think, was fully grey, but it would have clashed with Arsenal's home shorts. It was enough, like
the shine of the grey.
Yeah, so we had to...
The mood of the stadium under Arsene Wenger.
Exactly.
Obviously.
Dour.
Is that it for on this day?
We only go with 3, and that was pretty much all I could find.
Fair enough. It's a bumper day on the 23rd of August in history of all times. Anyway, on Sunday, it was the bloody World Cup final, wasn't it? The Lionesses almost got the job done, but ultimately I think they were just outclassed by a better Spanish team. Obviously, the highlight of the entire thing, which narrowly missed out on my highlight of the week, was Mary Earps obviously saving the penalty. The whole drama about Nike not selling her shirt and whatnot. She was sticking 2 fingers up to them, just becoming a hero. I've just realised I don't think that thing's recording over there. That's not supposed to be blue. We're still on the air, everybody. The thing's been set up differently. Owen Mawson is a genius. Anyway, Mary Earps, the penalty save, the big F off, was close to being my highlight of the week. Just sticking 2 fingers up to Nike. The amount of shirts they could have sold off that moment alone. I
was very happy to see on social media Nike put out their usual we're still all lionesses at heart, and I clicked on it and said, comment section, please don't let me down. Every single comment would be like, yeah, funny way of showing it. Could have sold loads of those shirts. Everyone loves Mary Earps. She's class. Sell more shirts. Stop being a gang of gimps. I've
go on.
Bit of vitriol.
Keep going.
I've been awake all day and I'm very tired, and that's the last time I'm allowed to mention it.
Yes, it is. That better.
But yeah, like you said, it was just a well-drilled Spain side.
Bastards, weren't they? All of them.
All of them.
One of those international sides of bastards. Just a
Yeah.
team full of bastards.
I think it's the fact that the head coach is so just thoroughly unlikable as well, added to it.
Wonder what it is, because Mikel Arteta's got a bit of that about him recently. Do you see his post-match interview on Monday, where obviously they got a red card, which wasn't a red card.
No.
He was going to be upset. And he was just like, the interviewer was like, "Oh, how did that go, Mikel?" He's like, "Very well." He was just being really sarcastic. But sometimes sarcasm can be like endearing, but sometimes you can just think, "Oh, what a dick."
Yeah.
And it was more of like, "What a dick, Mikel. You're a dick, Mikel. A dickel. Dickel dictator." My God. Anyway, for England fans, we're obviously wondering what might have been if the likes of Beth Mead were available from the start of the tournament. I'm wondering why Lauren James wasn't put back in the starting 11. Yes, she half stamped on somebody. Yes, that might be looked down upon in certain quarters, but we're all saying she could have got her a bit better if she tried a bit harder.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, she's one of, if not England's best players. So why wasn't she starting?
Yeah, if it was a disciplinary reason, there's a time and place for it. And I don't think this was the time nor the place for it. Is that maybe the thing that they were just concerned about her fitness? Obviously, still would have been in training and everything, but
2 games. She missed 2 or 1 game. 2 games.
2, I want to say.
2 games.
Yeah.
They're not going to lose that much fitness in a week or 2, are you? Surely not. Anyway, we'll speak more about the Spanish Football Federation president, Luis Rubiales, in the Twat of the Week segment. Anyway, we also saw the Super Cup this week where Manchester City won on penalties as the Bastards won another trophy. Yet again, Youssef En-Nesyri had headed Sevilla into a first-half lead. It was a lovely goal before Cole Palmer sort of did an alley-oop of a header into the far corner past Bono, who was having vertigo in the goal. I don't know what I'm doing now. It felt like a pre-season friendly, as this game always does, unless you win, I guess. Then it becomes a competitive trophy to add to your trophy cabinet. Yeah,
definitely. We were watching this in a bar. One of my friends was over from the America. So we were out just having a wonderful time. It was on the background. And as soon as City went behind, there was a big cheer. Because it was a bar in the middle of Liverpool, obviously. Yeah. We're not petty. And I thought, oh, we could be on. Went between bars. It's like, oh, okay, they've pulled it back. Inevitable, I think, is the unfortunate word. And I think everyone who's not a Man City fan just went, who cares?
Yeah, it's just a friendly, isn't it? Glorified friendly. But
unless you win it.
Yeah, it was a good penalty shootout, though. I enjoyed the penalty shootout.
Yeah.
It was a good one. I enjoy penalty shootout. Right, on to the Premier League headlines of the weekend there of Game Week 2, as the kids like to call it. Game Week 2. What did we call it back in the day? Just the second week of the league, was it?
Yeah. Today.
Yeah. At the weekend there. Yeah. Liverpool 3, Bournemouth 1. It was a funny one for those red men because no way is that a penalty on Szoboszlai.
Yeah, he went down easily.
He went down too early as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then it was also no way a red card for Gary Mack. Anything else to report on apart from those things that shouldn't have been but were?
In terms of the actual game, we were a bit messy, but the fact that we turned it around is positive. I don't know if we're going to try and return to the heavy metal days when we didn't really have a game plan apart from just get forward and hit stuff. Yeah. Dominic Szoboszlai, despite his terrible diving skills,
he looks good, doesn't he?
He looks very good.
I don't like that because Newcastle were heavily linked with him and we didn't get him.
Yeah.
And I'm now thinking, ooh.
Yeah, but you've got Sandro Tonali.
Has Szoboszlai got a song yet? I assume he has. You'll have a song. Sing song with you.
Dominic Szoboszlai. No, everyone's still debating how to actually say his name, even though he confirmed it, and everyone just kind of went, we just call him So Boss. He's just So Boss La.
Fits in as well, Liverpool, doesn't it? That's Boss that La.
Yeah. I'm not being rude. I took me notes on my phone.
You read your notes.
This was the only. I'll come clean. This was the only match I watched live this weekend because I had a wedding on.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Congratulations to not me.
I thought it was Mr. Holt and Mrs. Gibb finally getting married.
No, it was my friends Tom and Jenny.
Oh, up the Tom and Jenny.
Yeah, good.
Tom and Jenny.
Yeah. He's an Arsenal fan as well.
And she's a cat.
She is.
No, Jerry was the mouse.
Jerry was the mouse.
She's a mouse.
But the main thing was going away from this was that wasn't a red. And everyone has said that's not a red, apart from, I can't remember, who was the retired ref in the studio who...
Mike Dean on Sky Sports, or was it somebody else?
I can't remember. It's someone basically just because as we said before, the ref said it's a bit of a boys' club. But then we were kicking off because it was Paul Tierney on VAR, who, whether consciously or unconsciously, I think you can argue there's a bias now.
Go on then, why?
Because him and Klopp have clashed publicly. And with Klopp saying last year, I don't really like him. He's been involved in our games too much. Like I said, it could be an unconscious bias. I'm not saying that kind of stuff. But his assistant was Hatzidakis, the one who elbowed Andy Robertson as well. So
elbowed.
Well,
Come on now.
Still.
I guess contact was made.
And not only that, Hatzidakis is also going to be part of the team for Liverpool versus Newcastle next week.
Up the tune.
So it was terrible refereeing. You could see in McAllister's face, he was like, what? And I know...
It's just the fact that who was it he put the boot in on?
I can't remember, but it was...
He got there a millisecond earlier. They were both at the same height, basically.
Same height, foot side on. And when you go in slow motion, his eyes on the ball. And like, if it would have been the other way around, would that have been a red card?
And he doesn't even make that much... No. I know there's obviously intent and all that sort of stuff, but it's a really soft... He sort of dangles his leg in there.
But it was less...
Give it the full Haaland Keane treatment from back in the day.
Exactly. I mean, first of all, it's not even really questions on the ref on the pitch, because we just be like, oh, that's a bit harsh, but it's the beginning of the season, new rules, etc., which we'll come into in a bit. But it's the fact that the VAR team were like, oh, no, that's fine. And it's like, it's not, though. It's been rescinded. So we have got McAllister for Newcastle, but... Everyone.
I'm happy about that because apparently he's not had a very good start. Like when he's been on the pitch.
Yes, but he's been played out of position, and now we've got Endo, not Hendo, Endo in 6. He looked sound when he came on.
He looked like Kevin Ball.
Yeah.
He looked tenacious. He looked small, like a little mangy dog.
I take that as a back.
I regret saying mangy dog. You know what I mean, though? Little terrier.
Yeah, nipping at your ankles.
Yeah.
But he looked sound. When we went down to 10 men, it didn't help us, but we kind of focused. And because we actually had a number 6 playing in the number 6, and Soboslai was like, I'm going to be dead handsome and slalom up the pitch.
Just imagine Bruce Forsyth there just going to the 18-yard box.
Imagine that. Silky. But yeah, that's another referee in shambles. And I'm glad that it wasn't just Liverpool fans going, it's rubbish that. I saw Man U fans on Twitter. I saw City fans, Arsenal fans, obviously Gary Lineker, Shearer supporting.
Everybody with a set of eyes that work could see that wasn't a red card.
Yeah.
The thing I learned this week, apparently he was given the option, the on-field referee, to go to the VAR screen and have a look at it, but he turned that option down, which I think needs to be changed as a rule. If someone who has access to multiple camera angles and obviously replays and whatnot goes, maybe you've not seen that right in real time, go and have a look at the screen. They should be made to go and look. They shouldn't be able to turn it down.
It's like I've said before, though, it's the arrogance of the refs sometimes.
Yeah, you need to just swallow it, don't you? We'll all get things wrong. Look, I can't even say a sentence.
Yeah.
I'll get that wrong all the time.
Yeah.
But I'll carry on.
You've seen my conduct on this podcast. I'm rubbish.
Pepe who? Reina. It was Pepe Reina. If you know, you know. Anyway, we go from Liverpool 2, Spurs 2, Manchester United 0. We go to Bruno's Rabona. Easy sentence for me to say. And then he misses a sitter header in the middle of the 6-yard box. That was his yin and yang performance.
Yeah.
My vice captain on FPL, and I'm considering getting rid of him already because he is useless. He's not useless. He's just having a bad start to the season and a bad team, I think.
Yeah, it's...
Sorry, an underperforming team. Manchester United fans don't like the fact I don't like Man United, so I'm going to say underperforming team.
Underperforming team. I mean, you're not going to get too much defence from me either when it comes to Man United. But what I saw, again, preface it with watching highlights. Highlights can give you a sense of the match, obviously, but it's not the same as watching it live. It looked very end-to-end, but not in a kind of, dynamic attacking way. It just seemed like both midfields were a bit open.
Yeah, the first half was definitely like a basketball game, and then Spurs just sort of took more control in the second half. But once again, Man United, the handball on Romero didn't go for them. You've seen them giving his hand was sort of up here. It's away from the body. It's an unnatural position. I just think they're making up the rules as they go along, because last season that would have been a penalty.
Yeah.
No doubt if it happens in a couple of weeks' time in some other game, it'll be a penalty, but it wasn't here for whatever reason. And then Man United themselves get away with another one. A clear foul from Martinez on Romero for me. The ball was away. It was like in front of him. He just sort of clashes into him.
Yeah.
Down he goes. And he kicks the ball at a man who's down, rubbing salt in the wound.
Yeah, and especially while we're saying that, new rules and they're trying to make it seem like more of a clean sporting affair. And when we've had a couple of odd decisions and then you see something which is quite, I wouldn't say a lack of sportsmanship, but it's a bit on the nose. And in the context of this season already, you'd be like, oh, that's probably a yellow card.
Yeah.
Not a yellow card for me, but in the context of the season.
They need to change that rule. This giving a yellow card for people going like, oh yeah, just give him a waggy finger. That's all that's worth. Surely not a yellow card.
Bring in a rugby sin bit. Don't bring that. Don't bring that in.
And then obviously Martinez then went out to slice into his own net later, so that's a bit of karma for him there. Lol, bazinga. But Spurs look very impressive for me. That midfield duo of Pepe Sarr and what's his name, Bissouma.
Yeah,
looked very, very good together.
They definitely seemed to wake up, not just the team but the crowd as well after that first one went in. They were looking sound going forward. I thought they were just going to look absolutely dejected without Harry Kane, but they've early days, but they seem to have shaken it off already.
It's like a slightly less egregious example of Crystal Palace doing relatively well with Jordan Ayew as a centre forward. They've got Richarlison up there at Spurs, yet they're still doing quite well.
Yeah.
What's he? What is he? What's Richarlison?
Apart from that really good goal in the World Cup, he's a bit crap, isn't he?
It's terrible. But yeah, I'm looking very good in my prediction from the start of the season, saying the Spurs will be the dark horse of the season. Yeah. Bruce Forsyth. Manchester City 1, Newcastle 0. Anthony Gordon, I've got to say, was very lucky not to be sent off. He sort of raked one down Diaz's card in the first half, only a yellow. He had another sort of late tackle kind of in the second half, but you've seen them given in the world of football, haven't you? I thought it was a hell of a strike from Alvarez, but it was an example of how the high press does not work if every single person is not doing the same thing in unison, because that one pass when Gordon wasn't quite where he should have been, it just split the entire team open, which was a shame. Excuse me. This kind of Lucozade energy is backfiring on me somewhat.
That is Lucozade energy.
The Old Give Football podcast, never to be sponsored by Lucozade, because we'll never be big enough to get their attention.
So in terms for Anthony Gordon, because I was really impressed with him opening weekend, how did he play across the 90 this time?
Didn't really do much.
No.
But then again, I've written down in my notes here, just watching the game, I was, a bit seven sheets to the wind, I should say, because I was having those, what's it called? God, the beer, I've forgotten the name of it. It's got 2 C's, Cope Cabada. Forgotten the name of it, but it's absolute rocket fuel. It's only 4%, but they put something in there which sends you to the wild, wild west, let me tell you.
None of this means anything to me.
Cruz Campo, that's his name.
Oh.
If you want to have a good night out, drink Cruz Campo.
Or, alternatively, water, and then go and get some chicken afterwards.
Cruz Campo, the sponsor. No. But yeah, it was sort of like the Carabao Cup final, because it's sort of like, I don't know if Newcastle fans sort of like around our table, we sort of take the piss going, it could be a title decider come the end of the season. Even though I think we're all going to be buzzing off with tits if we finish 4th again, to be honest with you. But again, we just didn't lay a glove on them. I think we had that chance in the second half where Wilson was running through one-on-one against Gvardiol. And if that was Isak, who Wilson came on for, I think we might have got a shot away at goal. But the fact that it was Wilson, that was like our best chance blown.
Yeah.
And apart from that, we didn't really do anything to them. But there's been a lot of in the Newcastle fan base on Twitter, which I know is a horrible thing to just look at in the first place, but it's all like, oh, we went there and didn't do anything. We went there and we got beat. We should be doing better. We should be at least scoring. And I'm like,
it's Man City.
I lived through Pardew. I lived through Kinnear. I lived through, I was alive when Ozzy Ardiles was the manager. We've seen a lot worse times. We're not Everton, for example.
Yeah.
We've got away to the best club side in Europe and we've lost 1-0 where we could have played better. That's an all right position for me to be in as a Newcastle fan.
Yeah. So going into Liverpool's opening 3 fixtures, I think if you would have said to us before ball was kicked, 5 points out of Chelsea, Bournemouth and Newcastle, take that. How are you feeling going into Newcastle-Liverpool next week?
A point will do me after last season, because I think not really expectation was there, but we're sort of like, oh, we're looking quite good this season, because you caught us at a good time at St James's, because we're sort of gearing up for the Carabao Cup final. It's that little weird patch that all teams, I think, who don't get a regular final go through, where they just sort of like hold back a bit before the big final itself. Obviously, Nick Pope did what he did, which didn't help things either. But I think you pretty much deserved to win on the day. We had a fair few chances, but I think you edged it. It was egregious what happened at Anfield, obviously, last season.
Yeah.
But I don't honestly take a point, because it would just show progress from last season, which is what you want in a football team, isn't it?
I'd take a point as well, because, like I said, Newcastle are a good team. Even though it as ridiculous as what you were saying, some of the fans on Twitter were, surely it's good for the fan base to, as a whole, to finally have some positivity around the football.
Yeah, Bruno clapped back at one of them, because one of the accounts, one of these fan accounts, who I think are based in Denmark, they were like, oh, is it early enough to start like digging out individual players? And there was a picture which featured Bruno, who's been like the star man since he arrived.
Yeah.
And he clapped back saying, what are you talking about? Like the stuff we've done in 18 months with the Champions League, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
Give your head a wobble. And just the reaction to that has been, because we're still thinking like, oh God, the transfer window's open. It's Bruno. He's going to go at the first chance he gets. Stay away, Real Madrid, and stuff like that won't help on social media. But it was nice to see the fans rallying around Bruno. But the thought, it's so, you can tell it's people who weren't there in the bad times coming back now, and it's like, oh, we should be winning all the time. We're the richest owners in the world. Oh, piss off, will you?
It takes time. Look how long it took for City to get cooking.
Yeah.
It's going to take a couple of seasons.
But I do feel bad for the person who works for Amazon who dropped the biggest bollock he could have dropped, or she could have dropped it. They could have dropped it over the weekend there, because they released a teaser trailer for the episodes 3 and 4 of the Amazon documentary that Newcastle are featuring in at the moment, and they just basically dropped the I think the hook and the entire purpose of the documentary sort of being released as it is. The nice surprise at the end that Adidas are going to be coming back as Newcastle's sort of like kit supplier next season, and obviously off the back of that, Adidas had to announce that they're going to release something on the 1st of September, so someone's going to lose their job. Lol, bazinga. It's a big bollock to drop that in.
Regardless, I take it you're all very happy that Adidas are back.
Oh yeah, well it's a little bit, because I've been doing these tier lists with the kits with Kayla, and Adidas have had a bad season. You think about the Manchester United away with the stripes, the Arsenal away with the squiggly lines. They've had a bit of a bad season, so hopefully they'll just go back to basics with Newcastle. Just give us a grandad collar. That's all we want.
I think when Liverpool went back to Adidas, I want to say 2005, 6 or 6, 7.
6-7.
Yeah.
I remember that Community Shield you played against Chelsea.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Because I just remember that on the official Liverpool store in Liverpool, they had, the stripe sprayed all over it, and Liverpool being a typically Adidas City. It's weird that how much like a kit change like that, because it brings up these strong feelings of nostalgia.
Oh, I was born in 92, and I think Adidas became our supplier in 95. So when I was becoming conscious of football, it was NTL sponsor, Adidas up there.
Yeah.
Obviously the Brown Ale sponsor. I don't think that'll ever come back, but there we go.
No.
But, I can't wait. Adidas is the kid sponsor again. I'm more excited for because I was looking at Man United's website thinking, oh, what sort of stuff we're going to get. They have like Adidas Originals range where it features the badge somewhere. I'm excited for that.
Might get a good campaign out of it, obviously, with the Arsenal campaigns where they've had former players.
The retro stuff.
Yeah. Get Tino a sprayer in a brand new kit. Be wonderful.
He's too busy shagging. Anyway, elsewhere in that Manchester City Newcastle game, we had the moment where Pep was shouting at the fans who were calling for a substitution to be made. That insecure, weird little man was like, come on here, then you do it, you knobhead. What's he doing?
This is why I feel when people say, I hate Jurgen Klopp. I'm like, yeah, I can understand why you get on your nerves, but at least he's semi-likable, unlike Pep Guardiola.
I don't know, after that bit with the fan trying to get his shirt signed in the summer there, Klopp lost it all for me there.
Yeah.
You can see that true colours are shining through there.
He
hold the effing thing straight, whatever he said.
He wasn't happy about the Liverpool fans singing the Jurgen Klopp song the other day.
But because it's a superstition or something, is it?
I'm not even too sure. I don't know his reasons for it. I just heard loads of people kicking off, just saying, well, no, we'll sing what we want. It's our team, Jurgen, not yours.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I don't know now. Just rename it to JKFC.
After the lead singer of Jamiroquai.
And the fastest man ever down around the Top Gear track. Remember that from the childhood anyway. Fulham 0, Brentford 3. Brian Mbeumo is now the world's best centre-forward after missing 90% of his chances since he's been a Premier League footballer, it feels like. Yes, his 2 goals here were a pen and a tap-in, but they all count.
Yeah, of course. Get him anywhere you can.
It's a Diop as his sloppy back pass as well allowed Wissa in, or Vissa, I don't know how you pronounce it, in for the first one. They're doing all right without Tony, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, Fulham are looking shaky, especially against Everton the opening weekend as well, where if Everton could finish the dinner, that would have...
Oh, they should have won that game handsomely.
Exactly. Because going into it, I think we all thought, Fulham will be all right, I thought, but... I don't know. I like Brentford are a good side, nothing against Brentford, but lose 3-0 at home, I wouldn't have predicted
They're
that.
missing Paulinho, aren't they?
Yeah, really are.
Oh, they are.
They need that steel. They need that stability.
They need Endo.
I'm waking up a bit.
They need Endo.
Yeah. Get Endo in there.
Everyone needs Endo.
Give it Endo end of the season.
Up the Endo. Friday night football, we saw Nottingham Forest 2, Sheffield United 1. A proper header from I1. I always bugger up his pronunciation. Forest centre forward. The one that used to start his career at Liverpool, didn't he?
I'm going to say Awani.
Awani. That'll do. Awani. His header was unbelievable. He scored Forest's last 6 goals in a row. So he's very, very important to them. There was a lovely Sven Bender from the outside of the area from Gustavo Hamer for the Red and White Wizards. And then Christopher Wood, as I live and breathe, he scores a goal with a lovely flick header right across the goal to the far corner. Such a lovely deft finish from such a big, clumsy oaf.
Yeah, but it's... These, you're saying, again, second week, But I think these are the results that are really going to matter at the end of the season, especially for the best will in the world. I think Forest and Sheffield United are going to be scrapping it to try and get out of that relegation zone. But Forest, they needed the win. You would have expected the win. Sheffield United, they were doomed before it even started.
Before we came on the air here, I think they've put in a big bid for somebody. Let me have a look at that.
Better not be Endo, that's all I'm saying.
What's the next game, Jack? As well, look at who Sheffield. Yeah, I'm sure it was like £18 million.
Ooh, well, on Sunday it was West Ham against Chelsea.
Cameron Archer, that's who it was. The one who was on loan after the better.
How much is
the second half of last season? 18 million.
Has been accepted.
It has. Medical's been booked. Villa will retain a buyback clause. It's part of the process, apparently, according to Fabrizio Romano, who apparently, I saw he's like the second most influential Twitter account on Twitter at the moment, which means he makes upwards of £100,000 a tweet or something. Ridiculous.
Is he behind Elon Musk? I tell you.
Yeah, I don't know, probably. But then Elon, apparently, a certain percentage of his followers all have like no followers. So they're all bots.
Hey.
Just propping himself up, aren't they?
Of course he is.
Dickhead. But West Ham, they somehow with 10 men, they beat their London rivals Chelsea. James Ward-Prowse already shown his worth with the corner for the opener for a good at the back stick to stick in the header, who later saw a second yellow card for a stupid tackle.
Yeah.
What's he doing with his life? Referee John Brooks awarded a pen after Areola took down Jackson up front, who's if he doesn't score against Luton I think it's on Friday night for my FPL team, he's gone.
Are you being that ruthless this year?
Come on now. He's full of running. He's full of energy. I like watching him play. But so far, I've watched the 2 games he's played in full in the league, and he's not really come close to getting on the end of anything so far. So it looks a bit like, I don't even know. I feel bad for him, because the service isn't there. But then again, I'm asking, come on.
Yeah.
Luton at home. Let's go.
It's poor Luton. Whippen boys.
They are the Whippen boys. But they did sign Tim Krul this week, did Luton, I saw.
How old's Tim Krul now?
He must be mid-30s now.
Yeah.
Remember his debut away at Palermo in the UEFA Cup back in 2006? Halcyon days. A goalkeeping crisis. Who saves the day? Timmy Krul. Anyway, back to West Ham 3, Chelsea 1. Carly Chukwuemeka scores an unbelievable. I thought it was a lovely goal.
He's class, Chukwuemeka.
The chop back and he swazzes it in the far corner. Lovely little Sven Bender there from him as well. It was a shame he went off injured at half-time. Areola then had never saved a penalty in the Premier League, I should say. Enzo Fernandez obviously hasn't scored a goal yet in the Premier League, and the keeper came out on top in the Never Men Who Have Never Done Things contest. And then Mikel Antonio, who appears to get a lot of pelters from West Ham fans, even though I can see where their frustrations are because he's not the most prolific, but he puts in a hell of a shift every time he plays them. An unreal strike in the second half, sort of bullying. Who was it? Was it Thiago Silva, I think? No, it was Disasi. Bullying sort of Disasi, then getting that yard of space and firing it through his legs into the far corner. Arrowed, I've written down there.
Yeah.
Ray up the arrows. It's Mikel Antonio there for you.
Playing darts. Mug of ale. Bifter hanging out the corner of his mouth. Wonderful.
But obviously the big thing people are talking about is Caicedo coming on for his debut. £115 million. Liverpool fans devastated that he didn't sign for the Reds. Yes?
Oh, we love a bit of Schadenfreude, though.
He came on and he had an absolute mare. There's a list somewhere on Twitter that some petty arsehole took that would just listen down every single mistake he did when he came on. It seemed like nothing went right, and then obviously he brought down Emerson in the dying embers of the game for a penalty. Luka Paquetá doing something productive for his team instead of his own bank account in stoppage time for the first time in a while.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at me go with the sassy jibes. He was putting in the penalty to seal the 3-1 win. I thought it was a brilliant game.
Yeah, it was on in the background. I saw bits and bobs. I went to my parents for a roast on Sunday.
Ooh.
Yeah, first time seeing my parents for a while.
Didn't hurt your feelings too bad, did they? Hey, you went for a roast, comedy roast.
Yeah, that was good. Took me a minute. Yeah,
Okay.
This is the West Ham I thought we'd see last season. We were saying before the season had started when we were making our predictions, we were like, this is make or break for David Moyes. He's not Cockney, but West Ham are Cockney.
Are they?
Yeah.
You never tell with all the flat caps, all the flat caps.
And the pie and mash.
Yeah. And babble and squeak. Jelly nails.
Chicken cottage.
It's a different world down there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Terrified about going down on the weekend there.
Why?
Just I don't like it. Too busy.
I love London.
Too busy.
Yeah.
Too busy. Not enough grass.
Just get some Stone Island on. Get the badge in.
I can't get the badge in.
You say you're going to be terrified. 80,000 wrestling fans. It's fine. It's fine.
If they can survive, we'll make it through. But
it's as we were saying,
he knows things gone.
Make or break season, but it seems like they are riding that crest of the wave from the European win.
Because it was going to go one or two ways after, obviously, Declan Rice leaves. But it looks like they've replaced him very well indeed with JWP.
The JWP is
the JWP and the old Alvarez from Ajax as well.
Yeah.
He came on and looked a bit of a menace when he came on.
They've spent wisely so far.
He looked like a bit of an endo.
Bit of an endo.
He's getting mentioned again. West Ham are a team full of endos, aren't they?
Yeah.
Apart from Paquetá.
He's not an endo.
He's not an endo, is he?
This is a slight detour, actually. I should have mentioned this earlier, but while I'm on Sunday and thinking about being home, did you see who I found on Sunday?
Did I see who you found?
Who I found.
Are they alive or dead?
They are dead.
They're dead? I was making a little joke there.
No, I found someone dead who I didn't realise where they were or how important they were. So I am from the Wirral Peninsula, the Pleasure Peninsula.
You're a wool.
I'm a wool.
Over the water.
I'm from over the water from Jamaica, apparently, gone to us. And the local graveyard right by me, literally a 3-minute walk. I found on The Athletic the other day an article which mentioned this graveyard. Because buried in this cemetery that I've been through 1,000 times in my life is Arthur Johnson.
Who on earth is Arthur Johnson?
He was the first person to ever score for Real Madrid.
What?
And won the Copa del Rey 4 times as a player and once as a manager, and helped found the amateur side that was Madrid and was their manager until they got the royal seal. Yeah.
Wow.
And he died in Wallasey, and he was buried in this cemetery that I've been going to since I was a baby. No, I didn't go to the cemetery as a baby. There's a park attached to it, but yeah, it was just, there was a thing in The Athletic the other day talking about Jude Bellingham and saying, he's the latest Englishman to score for Real Madrid, but who was the first? And there's just this tiny grave, doesn't say anything about Real Madrid. And when you go into the graveyard, there's a thing at the beginning that says Commonwealth graves and war graves. So I'm actually thinking about getting, maybe not a campaign, but writing to the cemetery and being like, look, this is...
How did he end up there? Do you know anything about him apart from what you just said there?
No, he's, I think he was Irish, went over to Spain, and obviously... Because I mentioned it to Sean, he was like, what was he doing playing for Real Madrid? But obviously AC Milan was formed by an English bootmaker, wasn't it? Yeah. Or lace maker. As the game started getting organised in England, we took it across Europe, and they formed like the amateur side of Madrid. But yeah. And
what a guy.
Yeah, I think he finished with Real Madrid in 1920 and then died in England in like 1925. But it just happened to be in my hometown.
Wow.
And Sean was like, what was he doing here? But I was like, the beginning of the 1900s, Liverpool and the surrounding areas was a boomtown. But that's why I was over at my mum. She's like, do you want to come for a roast? I went, yes, because I need to go to the graveyard. And that's why I missed most of West Ham versus Chelsea. So there you go.
That's a lovely little story, that, though.
Yeah.
Well, do a deep dive on Big Arthur.
Yeah.
I assume he was Big Arthur. He sounds like a
He must have been, but I put it on my Instagram story, and loads of my friends from the area just saying, what? And I was like, 4-time Copa del Rey winning player.
The first ever player to score for Real Madrid.
Ever. And he's buried right by the Asda.
Get him a shrine erected. Anyway, we move on
to
Aston Villa 4, Everton 0. First and foremost, I think you got to feel a bit sorry for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, out injured for so long. He comes back. I think his dad put a status on Facebook after the game saying he's not looked as fit as he has done for a while. Then he gets a big clatter from the goalkeeper. His eyes swelling up. He has to go off.
He just can't catch a break, can he?
Nah.
I am worrying for Everton.
Oh, they look rotten.
Yeah.
They looked horrible, especially with the 2 mistakes from Keane for the 3rd goal, Ashley Young with that horrible throw-in for the 4th goal.
Yeah.
They just looked completely outclassed by Villa, who obviously were dicked on by Newcastle on the first weekend, so it's not looking good for Everton.
It wasn't a good time to play Villa for a start, but I saw my niece and nephew last night. My nephew's an Everton fan, and we were talking about it, and he said he's already looking to next season and thinking, right, we'll be on the road. Might go to Middlesbrough or whatever, who knows.
It must be such a worry, though, with that new stadium and the finances going into that, obviously, and all of,
Yeah.
But I guess you look at the deal Southampton were potentially turning down, and you must think parachute payments are going to be a literal lifesaver for Everton, surely, if they do go down.
Yeah. I mean, there's not even that many saleable assets in the team. I found out a lot of the Everton fans, they hate Alex Iwobi, and for my money, he's one of their best players.
I know they hated him and they turned it around.
No, some of them still hate him. Apparently, my brother can't stand him. And my nephew was there. Yes, they criticised his dad eating chips. Just like, my dad doesn't even know ball. And I was like, yeah, that's how we do it. I was like, luckily, your uncle does. It's fine.
I reckon if he played for Newcastle, he'd be a bit of a James Perch, a bit of a cult hero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was just more the fact that there was the level of expectation. There was the previous clubs he played for. There was the bit of the It was when Everton were not spunking money, but they were throwing it about a bit. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, let's not beat around the bush, but I like Rugby. But they have got an uphill battle.
It's the signings, isn't it, though? It's just like, what you sign Ashley Young for? I know he's tried and tested, but he's 40 years old, 38 years old, but we're splitting hairs there.
Almost as old as me.
Yeah, almost as old as you.
Yeah.
It's all the way around, really. He's only 32. Look at him. In the prime of his life.
34.
I'll try and try to be complimentary. Anyway, Crystal Palace 0, Arsenal 0 on Monday. Oh, sorry, Arsenal won on Monday night. I've written down the wrong bloody scoreline there. Arsenal looked in control for most of the game, but the only thing we're talking about was that Tomiyasu red card. The first yellow card he gets, even though Kai Havertz, I think it was before him, held the ball for twice as long as he did, but the referee came down on Tomiyasu. And in the second yellow card, Ayew on the spin, he sort of just goes and barely touches him with the end of his fingers, but Ayew goes down. It's his second yellow and he's gone.
I hate the fact that we are talking about the referees 2 weeks on the bounce, and it's the first 2 weeks. Obviously, these are going to be contentious decisions, but this weekend alone, quite a few sending offs, and 2 of them were definitely bad calls.
Yeah.
Game's gone as the.
It has. Just changing too many rules for the sake of changing rules at the minute, it feels like. The game wasn't broken in the 90s.
Yeah.
The last significant rule change that made complete sense and benefited the game was surely the keepers, the back pass rule.
Yeah.
Apart from that, what rule that has changed recently, since then, has really benefited the game and brought it forwards?
Well, I've told you how much I don't like the rule for goalkeepers and penalties.
On the line?
Yeah, I don't like that. That's why we're getting high scoring penalty shootouts.
That's what you want, though, isn't it not?
No, you want an even and fair contest.
Says the Liverpool fan after Jersey Dudek in 2005.
Exactly, and without Jersey Dudek in 2005, wouldn't have got that.
You rascal.
We didn't deserve that. Let's be honest, we didn't deserve to win in Istanbul at all.
But the sending off, Mikel Arteta's reaction after the game, it overshadowed the game once again. Eddie Nketiah, I thought, had a decent game. He should have scored a few chances, but the pressure's on still for him, obviously, with Gabriel Jesus hiding around in the background while he's still injured.
Have Arsenal appealed the red card?
I don't know, but they should do.
They should.
Can you appeal 2 yellows and a red? Obviously, you can if it's a straight red.
Ooh, I'm not too sure.
Ooh, because you never used to be able to, but no doubt they'll probably change that rule.
Yeah,
so, well, if the yellow card happens between the 16th and 90th minute, you can't appeal, but if it happens before then, you can. Something stupid like that. I hate them. Why are they changing it? Get rid of VAR. Get rid of all these stupid rules changes this season. That one where injured players have to stay off the field for 30 seconds as well, by the way. That's the one that really grinds my tits, let me tell you.
Yeah.
They've ground them down so much they're actual pecs now.
No, I was going to say no one likes the tits grinded, but it sounds like it's had a positive outcome.
A productive thing, yeah. But why do they have to stay off for 30 seconds? That benefits the team who potentially have injured a player who's getting checked on.
It's mixed messages considering they're taking all these like card-heavy approaches to slight collisions. It's a contact sport, as Right Said Fred said before they went down the right wing rabbit hole.
Just bring the game back to what it was when we were Bairns, as we say up here in Newcastle. On to football news elsewhere in the world this week of the past 7 days. Manchester United CEO Richard Arnold had written an open letter to fans explaining the decision made regarding Mason Greenwood's future. Obviously, it was like he's coming back, then he wasn't coming back. Now he's been told to continue his career elsewhere. The club did confirm in this letter they came to an agreement with Greenwood that the player will continue his footballing career elsewhere after an international investigation regarding certain charges that will get this video flagged by YouTube gods if we say what they are, but you all know what they are, don't we? Greenwood was suspended by Man United in January 2022 after the player was charged with you know what. I wish we could say it, but it's the world. I don't know what they're doing. Change the YouTube rules as well.
Yeah.
I missed 2016 so much. Then Logan Paul ruined it for everybody with that video.
Yeah, because the one that frightened me was the fact that the C word is classed as hate speech, but because it is in America an attack against women, but it's not in Australia, Scotland, most northern towns.
Yeah.
It's
or southern towns.
Yeah. You are.
Yep.
Yeah, it's getting a bit not nanny stakes. That makes me sound like a Daily Mail reader, but you know what I mean. It's getting a bit. Come on, let's let's be grown up about
Yeah,
it.
but the charges were dropped in February 2023 due to what the Crown prosecution cited as a combination of the withdrawal of key witnesses and new material that came to light that meant it was no longer a realistic prospect of conviction. The interesting part of Arnold's statement for me is when he's saying things like, while we were unable to access certain evidence for reasons we respect, the evidence we did collate led us to conclude that Mason did not commit the acts he was charged with. He then goes on to say later on in the statement, while I was satisfied that Mason did not commit the acts he was charged with, Mason's accepted that he's made mistakes and takes responsibility for. We'll speak more on the sort of the sort of yo-yoing of the decision, the going back on the initial decision later on in the podcast in a certain section called the highlight of the week. But what's your sort of reaction to what's gone on with Mason Greenwood over the past 7 days?
It's been a mess, I think, is the easiest way to put it. Because there was all the furore about when he was spotted in training, and the countdown presenter, who's a bit of a lunatic as well, was like really...
She said she would stop supporting Man United if he continued to play for them, didn't she?
Yeah, which, you know, like her or dislike her, it's a prominent voice speaking out about it. I think any other walk of life, after such a thing like that, you are likely to lose your job. And we've seen with other cases around this, it's so hard to talk around it, but cases of this sort of nature, the players have had their contracts terminated or they've been, you know, kicked out or whatever. That's not to say that they shouldn't be able to earn a living, but they shouldn't be on the highest pedestal.
Because I think he's been paid the entire time. Like
Yeah.
he's been missing from the game, which is what slaps you. It's just not right, is it?
No.
Because obviously, I think most of us who heard the audio, the mind was made up then, and it was just sort of like, what they're waiting for? Why have they not sacked the guy? Because it seemed like it was clear as day. But if they've done this investigation and they've found, you know, Arnold saying he's satisfied that Mason did not commit the acts he was charged with.
Surely United would have known anything other than a termination would have been a PR disaster.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's the human side of the story, but we're just trying to look at the football and business side of it. It's, Man United's like kind of like PR side have not hit many right notes this season already.
It's just the longer and longer it went on. It
Yeah.
just felt like, why is it taking so long to get to a conclusion?
Like this, like we were saying, the second there was rumblings on it and people were aghast and they were just like, "No, you can't. No, let's not do this."
Yeah.
And like you said, it rumbled on, and by the time it was all concluded, it was a little too late, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it took what will be my nomination for the highlight of the week to sort of change the decision, because it did just feel like they were just waiting for that reason to bring him back.
Yeah.
Just because of who he was, you go on to, like you're saying earlier there, like who he is has sort of kept him in the job. If this was like, you know, the third choice goalkeeper, or whatever, I think he would have just been shown the door. But it's just the fact he is or was one of the, you know, the brightest sparks in English football, sort of kept him where he is, which just isn't right.
No, it's not.
It isn't right at all.
No.
It's not.
No.
I don't know what else to say there.
Yeah.
It's such a difficult thing to talk about. Well, no, I don't think it is. He should have just been sacked. Get him gone.
Well, he should have been sacked. I mean, it's not difficult in the terms of having a conversation. It's difficult in the terms of having a conversation on a platform which is a bit, you know...
What was he going to get, you know?
Yeah, happy with the banhammer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, but there we go. Well, obviously, speak about it a little bit more later in the podcast. Elsewhere in the world of football, Ben Foster has announced his retirement from professional football 4 games into Wrexham's League 2 season. The goalkeeper obviously retired at the end of what season have been the 21-22 season when he was at Watford, but he came out of retirement in March to help Wrexham seal their eventual return to League 2 and what was, at the time, fantastic. He could have wrote a Hollywood script that was better than it.
Yeah. And obviously, Ben Foster, he's got I wouldn't even say a cult following. He's just got a following online. So
Global following. You saw that from the... Do you watch the vlogs in America with Wrexham at the start of the season?
No. I watched the documentary series, but I've been kind of like avoiding Wrexham to, as stupid as this sounds, go spoiler free into the next season. Like when Sean found out they got promoted, she was like, "Oh," I was like, it's real life, but yeah, it seemed like the perfect marriage, wasn't it?
Yeah, but then it seems to be that he's just using the club for his own personal game rather than, you know, what he can do on the football field, because so far in those 4 games he's conceded 13 goals and has now admitted that he no longer feels he's able to perform at a high enough standard to continue playing in League 2. He says, "The honest truth that my performances this season haven't reached the levels I demanded myself, and I feel that now is the right time to retire." Watching the highlights of their game at the weekend there, the 5-5 draw, there was at least 2 or 3 that he should have been saving with his eyes closed. He had it was one of them where it just sort of went past him here. It was like the near post glitch on FIFA, but in real life, it was incredible to watch.
Sorry, I was just swallowing a burp there as well. Yeah. How old is he? 39, 40?
40, yeah. But
40.
I guess fair play to him for saying, right, hands up, I'm just not at the races here.
Yeah.
Because the longer that went on, those sort of performances, you are feeling, I put myself in the shoes of a Wrexham fan. You'd be feeling this guy's just using the exposure for his own personal gain rather than what you can do on the field. So I guess from that perspective, fair play. But it's like,
yeah, and
you'd expect more, wouldn't you? It's Ben Foster. He didn't look out of place at the end of last season. What's happened?
I don't know if it's just a mixture of, obviously, as you get towards those later years, the drop-off becomes steeper and steeper, doesn't it? Because you naturally are aging. Yeah. And obviously with the step up to a different league, I don't know if you got like settled into, not a false sense of security, but just kind of like, oh, well, this is the level, it's fine, and not realising that the step up, it's Ben Foster at the end of the day. This me sound like, oh, doesn't he done well? But yeah, I don't know if it was just like a bad triumvirate of things that...
Well, apparently he was training twice a week as well, which can't have been helping. I mean, I guess it is. It might be helping in one way. Like, he's 40 years old, he can't train like he could when he was 21.
Yeah.
On the other hand, is he lacking match practice maybe and lacking that sharpness that comes with training? It's a hard one to decipher.
But Wrexham are, obviously, they've got that global appeal. I think they won't have a problem convincing players to join the project.
Yeah.
But they've got to pull their fingers out, haven't they?
They do, yeah. They need to stop conceding goals. Pep Guardiola is set to miss the next 2 Premier League games after undergoing emergency surgery on a back injury. The Premier League champions wrote a statement on Tuesday that the 52-year-old was suffering from severe back pain and has flown back to Barcelona for a routine operation. They've made that sound really bad and then said routine operation at the end there, which makes it seem completely fine.
Yeah. do you think this is why he's a bit narky recently, because his back's in bits?
Clapping back at fans. I guess you would be if your back was in bits.
Yeah.
Have you got a bad back?
Yeah.
Have you actually?
Yeah.
I've never had one.
Oh, it's horrible. Lower back.
Get yourself to Barcelona for some emergency surgery.
I had a sports massage the other year and that was good, but I need another one because I have terrible posture. So and it doesn't help. So.
Assistant manager Juanma Lillo will take charge of the first team while Guardiola is, until he's fit basically to return. He'll be in the dugout for matches against Sheffield United and Fulham. Guardiola's going back here to Barcelona and is expected to come back after the international break in September. So we'll have to see if they'll have an effect on Manchester City's games against Czech's notes, Sheffield United and Fulham.
I don't think it will. It's what we were saying recently about, like, to be a championship level, not the championship, but like a championship winning team, you've got to ride your luck. Like when the COVID season, the other season, City had a couple of COVID cases, but it fell, when there wasn't game weeks on, etc., etc. And the
Conspiracy.
No, not even that. Just in terms of just luck. You've got to ride your luck, and obviously getting a bad back isn't lucky, but the fact that the fixtures are falling the way they have, Sheffield United, who I think are just going to get whipped by everyone, and Fulham, who aren't looking great. I don't know if he's gone, yeah, they should be all right, I'll dip out, or if it's just like, oh bloody hell, good thing that we've got these two teams coming up. But I'm still expecting 6 points.
You know for a fact he'll still be there via Zoom at the very least, barking at everybody in the change
kicking off on Haaland. Haaland's like, shut up.
172-inch screen in the locker room.
Yeah.
Oh, the locker room. I'm American now, apparently.
Yeah.
The locker room.
172-inch screen. I'm just imagining something like 1984, which would be like Pep Guardiola far too close to the camera. He's like, what are you doing? He's from Huddersfield. Oh.
Sticking with Manchester City, Lucas Paquetá's proposed move to them from West Ham has been halted due to a Football Association and FIFA investigation, into possible betting breaches. The FA and FIFA are looking at information concerning bets in games involving Paquetá that were placed in Brazil. Now, I don't know if this was where he was from, because you'll never guess where he was I don't know if he was born there, but certainly where he was raised for a portion of his youth.
Go on.
It's Paquetá Island. So if these bets... Lucas Paquetá getting a yellow card in the 92nd minute are coming from Paquetá Island.
That's amazing.
That's unbelievable. Yeah. The player apparently had no idea about I'm doing that because that's what the article said, about the claims, and has been left shocked by the whole situation, which could apparently it has cost him a dream move to Manchester City. Because if we go down to the transfer, first and foremost, what do you make about all that?
It's what we've said again. The problem with the high-profile nature of sports betting in football at all levels at the moment, I think there's too much of it. If you like a flutter, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but the kind of influx of adverts and sponsorships and blah 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 blah, and at the same time, just like, but you can't do it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, pick one or the other.
Yeah. I guess it makes sense for players because like in games they're involved in.
Yeah.
It has an effect on because they can go and get a yellow card, can't they? Quite easily. These
Well,
days.
yeah, because Grobbelaar had the case in the 90s, didn't he,
Yeah.
about match fixing. So, but it's serious allegations, but at the same time, it's the fact that the whole FA in all branches of it is just like, oh, we've got to stamp this out. But thanks for all this money for all the sponsorship. Great, nice one.
All the best to Ivan Toney when he comes back being a billboard for Hollywood bets. Anyway, it looks like Paquetá has blown his chance to move to Manchester City because they have agreed a fee with Rennes for the transfer of Belgian forward Jeremy Doku. Apparently, it's going to be 65 million euros, including add-ons, which has been accepted by the French club. Personal terms have been agreed on a 5-year deal. This is the little lad. He was a little lad. I'm sure it was the World Cup before last, I think, maybe. I don't know, potentially. It was some game I was watching, and he came on, and he was very quick and very tricky.
Yeah.
Aye. How old he is now. Ever seen Jeremy Doku play before?
I recognise the name. I probably have. It's me. I don't remember anything. But I do know the name. But I'm still one of those that when I hear blah, blah, blah has moved for 65 million, that you think, oh, he must be good.
Yeah. Just looking at his record, he played 29 games last season, scored 6 goals in Ligue 1, which isn't the best.
It's not great.
You got to think it's the way Manchester City do it. They've got the scouts all over the place. Well, as all the teams do, but they have a player profile. That's a hip hop and happening phrase to use, isn't it?
Of course,
and it looks like this is going to be the direct replacement for Riyad Mahrez. Because that was the thing with Paquetá. It's like you're losing Mahrez, but you're gaining Paquetá. Where does he really fit? Because apparently another knock-on story from this is Paquetá being unhappy at West Ham because of the way David Moyes has been using him. Yeah, which apparently isn't how he wants to be used.
Well, he's unfortunately made a rod for his own back, hasn't he? Because he's going to go back to West Ham unless he gets to move somewhere else. And David Moyes will be like, I'll play you wherever I want to play you.
Yeah.
And what are you saying, where does he fit in? He fits in West Ham, it seems. Yeah, that's all I've got to say on the matter.
He was very good in that Europa Conference final. Like, he was my man of the match. He was sensational, that sort of cam roll, but he was everywhere. Yeah. He had a bit of an endo about him, a bit of an endo performance, tackles everywhere, but that bit of guile and class at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm sure he slipped in Jarabone for the winner, but my mind deceives me sometimes.
Well, if your mind's playing tricks on you, I should think what mine's doing.
Finally, in the world of football, Ivan Toney's in a big interview this week. He believes he's been made an example because he's a high-profile Premier League footballer. The Brentford striker was banned for 8 months in May after admitting 232 breaches of the Football Association's betting rules. He was speaking to Stephen Bartlett on the Diary of a CEO. Drink Huel. I love Huel. I invest in the company. Drink Huel. It's lovely. That's Stephen Bartlett for you. It's like he's in the room right now. Toney claimed that his punishment was disproportionate compared to what previous lower-level players had been given for similar offences. Toney had felt the timing of the allegations as well being made public was linked to him being sort of maybe going to the World Cup. He feels that there's someone out there getting him, which it doesn't sound too promising from his perspective. No. And he also said that he doesn't recall making some of the bets he was charged for, but he took responsibility just to get the thing over with, which again, if I was in his shoes, I'd be going, whoa. Yeah. I'll admit to the ones I've done, but the ones I've not done, don't put that on me. Yeah. Surely he could do that.
It's like what we just said there, the kind of what about Balterism from the FA, just kind of, obviously he's done something stupid that he shouldn't have done, but the kind of high and mightiness of the length of his ban as well seemed a bit disproportionate as well.
I don't know, because the likes of Joey Barton and stuff, they got pretty severe bans for way less bets, didn't they? The TV refreshes. Look at the TV refresh there.
Oh, lovely.
And also, a large portion of this suspension he's got is happening during off-season.
Yeah, true.
I guess it's see it from both sides, can't you?
Yeah.
I guess at the end of the day.
But I think there's just going to be more of this until they, decidedly boot out. Because I know they're removing shared sponsors, aren't they?
They get next season.
Yeah. But you're never going to kick betting out of the game completely, but they can't be advertising and glorifying it with one hand and then severely disciplining with the other.
Yeah, I guess it is if it was on games involving him and Brentford. Then I can see why the because that potential to sort of match fix there, isn't there?
Yeah.
And affect the outcome of a honest sporting competition. Anyway, Toney is banned until the 16th of January and he's not allowed to train with his teammates or spend time anywhere around the Brentford area. Well, I guess just the training ground, the stadium probably, until the 17th of September.
Not being allowed to train is a bit harsh because obviously the punishment is he's banned from playing. But if he's not allowed to train with his teammates or anything like that, then they're possibly hampering his career.
I don't think they are, because I was watching the overlap with Gary Neville with Marcus Rashford over the pre-season there, and they go to some camp. I think he was in Portugal. There was like a footballers like pre-season camp, if that makes sense, like where you go before pre-season starts.
So for like unsigned players and stuff like that. Yeah,
something like that. And he was just getting put through his paces. Then I assume that Ivan Toney's gone somewhere like that.
Oh, okay then.
I would probably do that if I was him. Or I'd just sit on the sofa eating.
I was going to say I'd just be eating 20 nuggets. At a time.
Imagine if he came back looking like John Parkin.
It'd be beautiful.
It'd be wonderful, wouldn't it?
All right, lads. And they're just like, oh,
Ivan.
You're right there.
On to the big transfer news of the last 7 days. We already spoke about Cameron Archer there in the notes. Liverpool, Big Endo, Wataru Endo is coming from Stuttgart. He was their captain. Apparently it was £16 million after failing to bring in Caicedo for over 100 million. What was it you bid? 105, 110?
111, I think.
111. And also Lavia, obviously, for between 40 and 50 or 60, whatever you bidded for him in the end.
I think we bidded like 48 million and 20 quid. And they'd be like, 50 million, like 40 quid.
So the rebuilding process continues after Henderson, who is not related to Endo, Fabinho, Milner, Keita, and the Ox all left Anfield in the summer. Obviously, we spoke about him earlier. He looks like a bit of me. I like a bit of player like that.
Yeah, it's the kind of player we need. Obviously, it felt a bit underwhelming to go from we're going to break the record for Caicedo to here's a fella you may have heard of from Germany. But
then you're saying that, and like, who really was Sadio Mane before he signed, for example? You know what I mean?
Yeah. We're usually good at getting those diamonds from the rough. A couple of fans have gone a little far the other way from my liking, where they're just like, could be the next Gary McAllister. And I'm just like, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
He's about 12 years younger than when Gary Mack signed for you anyway, 30 years of age.
Exactly, and Gary Mack was boss. We love his baldy head. I think he looks... For signing and then being dropped straight into it the next day, he looks solid. If this is, I think James Pearce was alleging that we're not going to be buying another number 6. He's our starter. I was just like, I would like another one.
I think you do need another one just for the season.
Yeah. Or if he's our specialist number 6, we need someone who can play in the 6 and elsewhere in the mid. But he looks solid.
I guess you got Bacic to come back, haven't you?
Yeah, but
because you are playing on Thursday nights, remember?
Thursday nights, Channel 5. Not Channel 5 anymore, but it is in the heart.
TNT.
But yeah, he looks fine. Like I said, it was a bit underwhelming after everything that had happened, but if he gets on with it and he does a job, then he does a job. Fine. Who cares how much they
got?
And
you've also shown you've got the money there to spend on people. So if you don't bring anyone else in, then you're asking questions of the owners, aren't you? Surely. Again.
I think that's probably going to happen.
Aston Villa have got one through the door. They've confirmed the signing of Italy international Nicolo Zaniolo. Sorry, goodness me. On a season-long loan from Galatasaray. I had no idea he was at Galatasaray. Last time I checked, he was at Roma, just doing things in the Europa League and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I didn't even hear about this deal until you proposed this today.
4.2 million loan fee plus agreed bonus of up to 1.2 million to seal the loan as well, whatever that means. I don't know what that means at all. You can have it for 4.2, but you must also pay 1.2 to secure it. Maybe it's some sort of deposit.
Is it me, or did it... Obviously, I think loan fees have always been a thing, but it seemed like we never really heard about them until like the last 2 years.
João Felix at 11 million. I remember that one being like, oh my God, they've paid that much. Then they signed... Who else did Chelsea sign in January on loan? Someone from Juventus, wasn't it? Zakaria.
Yeah.
I think they paid 3 million for him.
We paid 8 million for Arthur Melo and got 13 minutes.
Remember when we signed Laurent Remy, it was like 3 million or something like that from Marseille. Marseille? Yeah, Marseille. I'm going back 10 years now. It's a long time.
Well, anyway, apparently we've been talking about loan fees for 10 years, but I've just not been paying attention. But
just trying to think of the ones I can remember hearing. But yeah, should Villa choose to trigger the purchase option on the deal, they will have to pay 19.2 million plus a third of 13.2 million in add-ons. I don't think they're going to do it. They're just saying, yeah, we'll give you that, we'll give you that, we'll give you that, but we're not going to do it.
It could be a shrewd move from Galatasaray, though, because perhaps they've seen Villa and thought, they could do bits here. Let's put all these in. They might not hit them, but if they do...
Yeah, but he looked at player, like, as I say, for Roma a couple of years ago. He had that run in the Europa League, not maybe not the one last season where it all ended in tears for referees and whatnot, but there was a certain run they had, and he was doing bits here, there, and everywhere.
It seems to me, though, like whenever I hear about a player going to the Turkish league, it's not like the same as going to the Saudi league where you're like, oh, they're done. But usually the Turkish league, you're like, oh, they're still good, but they're not quite at that level anymore. And obviously there's the old thing about, players coming from Italy to the Premier League. So going from Italy via the Turkish league to the Premier League, you're like, I'll wait and see.
Yeah, maybe it is a little bit of Aston Villa having to scrape the barrel just of someone who might realise that when people are fully fit, he might not get a game, obviously, after the injuries to Coutinho.
Yeah.
Who else went off at the weekend there? There was someone who was an attacking midfielder went off, did they? I might have just made that up anyway. Injuries, he's going to fill their gaps. Up the Villa's gaps. Mitrovic, Alexander, I don't know how I've said his name like that, but his name is Alexander Mitrovic. Has gone to Al Hilal with Neymar, or Neyman I've written down there. There's no men there.
Neyman!
For 50 million. Al Hilal returned in for Mitrovic and lodged a bid worth 50 million for the 28-year-old, which Fulham immediately accepted because that's what they wanted from him. Fulham have now confirmed the deal, and he's been there for 5 years at Fulham. He sort of silenced the doubters, I guess, in terms of being like a Premier League player, because it felt like for a few years he was sort of very good Championship on his apparent 120 grand a week wage in the Championship, which I learned this week, which is unbelievable, sad, as Moreno said.
His purple patch, especially last season, I think made everyone go, okay, we've kind of doubted him, but he seems like he's been a bit of I wouldn't say like a bad presence going into this new season, but he wasn't happy with the state of affairs. No.
Because that was the thing. Even going back to when he was at Newcastle, it was like, we can see the lad's got talent, but when he played for Newcastle, he was way more focused on hurting the centre half rather than scoring a goal. And Rafa Benitez was just like, I'll just play Daryl Murphy instead. And Daryl Murphy was a lot better that Championship season than Mitrovic, which is weird to say, but it's true.
But surely an alehouse team like Newcastle would like a player like yeah. Kidding. Kidding.
But another one bites the dust and goes to Saudi Arabia. Galatasaray have confirmed the signing of winger Hakim Ziyech from Chelsea on loan. Do you see how they did this?
No.
It was after a game, and they got him like in with the ultras on this little, and sort of they've got the I don't know, the leader of the gang going like with a microphone in his hand. They've got a little...
The MC.
Yeah, he basically leads the chants and whatnot.
One time.
I'm from the top. But he leads the chants from his little pedestal there. And they got him up on there and he was like doing the thing and leading the chant. It was a very good way to introduce a player, I thought.
Oh, sounds good.
Yeah, it was very, very good.
You endear yourself to the ultras and you go far.
Oh, yeah. You'll get all sorts of deals, won't you?
Yeah.
Jacuzzis, security. I don't know. I've never dealt with them. Have you?
No.
Liverpool have ultras.
Not ultras.
Newcastle don't.
No.
No.
I've spoken to I've been in pubs with some old hoolies from the 80s before, and they're quite frightening.
Some of the I had a lad I used to go to England games with, and his dad went to England games in the late 80s and early 90s, and some of the things I've heard would put hair on your eyes.
Yeah, someone who I used to talk to a little in the pubs, who was a mate of a mate, and I was like, this is a bit hairy. He was part of one of the firms of the Merseyside teams. I'm not going to say which one. Obviously, they were just like, you're not coming here anymore. So we went, sound, I'll go to Millwall games and join Millwall's firm. I was just like, yeah.
Some people are just wired different, aren't they?
I was like,
just be like, I couldn't be. I just want to go to the football and enjoy, have a little pint, watch the game, have a little sing-song, not fight.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't condone hooliganism, but...
Why is there a but?
But if you've got two sets of, I'm going to say predominantly young lads, and they want to have a scrap, you're not going to be able to stop them. So if they organise it, if they say, just us and just you, let's have a scrap, no weapons, and afterwards we just kind of nod and walk off, fine. But when it comes into just like, there's some people there we don't know, I'm going to glass one of them, just like, that's not good. Like with the Sean Cox stuff outside Liverpool, that was cowardice.
Yeah.
But if you've got two firms who agree to a fist fight...
In a field, nowhere near the ground.
Exactly, like the beginning of Green Street, and it's panning along, and that guy goes, effing see you, and you're just like, here we go, lads. Elijah Wood's going to get filled in. Yeah. You're not gonna ever properly stop it. So just keep it to one side. Don't do anything that's going to get you imprisoned. And afterwards, you nod and you'll say you do it at the reverse fixture. But don't get innocent people involved and don't use weapons.
You're speaking like you've been there from experience, just the way you're on about here.
I've not at all. But again, there was family members who support Tranmere. And when one of them was like 16, they started going to Tranmere away games. I just said to him, I was like, I don't know what you do. I don't think that you do. But if you are, cover your face.
Interestingly, back to the Ziyech deal. Apparently, Galatasaray have paid no fee for the loan, which is rare, it seems, in football these days. But again,
that's news to me.
much like Mitrovic, it feels like it was a player who just was surplus to. Well, not surplus. He just didn't want to be there.
No,
but I guess it was a bit different in Mitrovic because Fulham wanted him, whereas Chelsea didn't want Ziyech, and they couldn't get rid of him. That move collapsed, didn't it? Because of his knee. Was it to Saudi Arabia? I'm sure it was.
I want to say because I want to say he was one of the first wave of names linked with a move to Saudi Arabia, which makes it feel like Chelsea just went, if there's money here, look, we've got to get rid of loads of lads. Do you want him? We don't really want him.
Yeah.
But 0 fee, they must have been desperate to get him off the books.
Yeah. US men's national team captain Tyler Adams has gone to Bournemouth. From Leeds, the 24-year-old, I can't believe he's only 24. He joined Leeds last summer from RB Leipzig and made 28 appearances, last playing in a Desmond 2-2 at home to Brighton and Hove Albion. Or maybe it was away. Maybe it was at home. I don't know why I even said that. I've not got it written down. Obviously, Adams has been through the ringer a little bit recently with his proposed move to Chelsea just not collapsing. It was just Chelsea going, nah, we don't want you, actually. Lol.
I mean, we did it to Romeo Lavia, so I can understand if he's a bit miffed. Any word on a fee or anything?
No idea.
No,
I can't imagine it's going to be too much.
Nah, you'd expect,
especially the way that Leeds have been doing their business this summer. It feels like everyone who's left Leeds of like prominence has gone on loan. Well, I don't know what they're doing.
Have these structured their contracts weirdly, like Chelsea have?
Are they banking on just going straight back up and having all these players come back? That's a dangerous way.
It's a very dangerous game.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll wait and see. Like you're saying, as soon as you say any national captain, if they're going down, they're straight on the phone to their agent. And he said, "Get me back up."
I thought he even had to lift the phone himself. He'd had offers here, there, and everywhere.
Agent with his 80s Rolodex, like, "Don't worry, Tyler, I'm on it."
Newcastle have completed the signing of teenage defender Lewis Hall from Chelsea. The deal is an initial loan because of our FFP sort of restrictions, but there is an obligation for Newcastle to make it permanent next summer for around about £28 million. The only time I've seen him play, I did a live stream for Chelsea versus Man United at Old Trafford last season. He looked very good, looked very attacking, very strong for a young boy.
Yeah.
But that's all I've seen of him. I know his parents are Newcastle fans. I watched the video of like his first day, like they put on YouTube, and his mom looks very Geordie. She's got a very like working class Geordie mom's haircut, which I was very on board with.
Very blue jeans, Nuki brown Adidas top. Couple of rings.
I could imagine her being the dinner lady at school, put it that way.
Gold chain with a little gold boxing glove on it.
But as I say, they're 18 years old. He made 11 first-team appearances last season for Chelsea, and I've seen a few reactions from Chelsea peoples, and they're not happy about it, so that's a good sign for Newcastle.
Are you thinking he's just going to be a cup player this season, or do you think he will be sniffing around the first team?
He's sniffing.
Yeah.
Still, as we're sat here now, Dan Burns, the first-choice left-back, and he's not a left-back. He can play there, and he's solid as houses. He can sometimes get forward, as we saw. I think it was Leicester at home in the Carabao Cup last season, wasn't it? He gets a goal. He scored more than St. Maximin last season, 2 goals to 1. So he can get forward, but he just doesn't feel like a proper left back. He doesn't really feel at home at left back, which feels weird because that's why he played largely for Brighton. That's why he's played largely for Newcastle as well. But I think having him as another centre half option, having Livramento and Hall as the two sort of left back options there. You've got Manquillo in the background as well, who I like, by the way. I like Javier Manquillo. I don't think he's too popular in Liverpool, is he?
He doesn't really register as much anymore.
He's a headless chicken. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
He kicks the ball forward and runs after it like a dog.
Box office, Barclays, as Lewis House likes to say.
But I don't know. I think there's a chance that after a few weeks he could get his chance, and it's up to him to keep his place or not.
FFP aside, then, do you think you will be bringing many more in before the close of the window? No.
Howe said one more before he signed, so that'll be it.
Yeah.
That's it. I think we're still light of a centre half. If we can get a centre half on a loan, or just bin his contract at his current club and come join us for free, because that's how football works.
Yeah.
Let's do that. But yeah, maybe another midfielder as well. But and obviously a centre forward. I think having 2 strikers going into a season like ours this season, and one of those strikers being Callum Wilson, is not good.
Well, it's a shame that obviously, because considering the Adidas deal is done, it's a shame that doesn't register now, because obviously that's positive income coming into the club.
I think I saw a table saying, I think we're the 4th highest net spenders since whenever. I can't remember when it was, when the table started. But we have spent a fair amount of money, but I think, we've spent it very wisely. We haven't had a dud so far since the takeovers.
Where are Liverpool on the net spend league? We all love the net spend.
What we do now, this was a shock after last week's podcast. We spoke about Michael Olise going to Chelsea, and all of a sudden Crystal Palace chairman Steve Parish has revealed he signed a new 4-year contract and rejected the chance to go to Chelsea in the process. This was after Chelsea triggered the 35 million release clause in Olise's previous contract, and we're just waiting for the shirt presentation, weren't we, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And now he's gone back. I think that's fantastic.
Do you think they've given him some promises? And they're just like, look, help us out this season. We'll bump up your wages a bit. Yeah.
We'll give you Zaha's contract for a season, then we'll just let you go next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if it works for all involved and hampers Chelsea a little bit, I'm not going to complain about it. I know we've got some listeners from Chelsea. It's Schadenfreude. We all do it.
It's football rivalry.
Wait.
Just don't take it into a field and fight us. Whoa, you're going to smash the glasses.
I'll glass you.
Theo Walcott, as we end the news from around the football world this week, he announced his retirement on the overlap with Gary Neville. We start with the 2006 World Cup, which should never have happened. We then go through to the big debate about, is he a centre forward, is he not? He felt like he was always at loggerheads. What a word, loggerheads.
Yeah.
With Arsene Wenger in terms of playing as a centre forward, whereas Wenger would always play him on the right. For me, if he feels like a player who never reached his potential,
No.
You go around to sort of 2009-10, I think he says in that interview with Gary Neville, he scored, might be wrong here, he scored around about 21 goals and made around about the same amount of assists that season in the league, which is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Then you're thinking, can he kick on and be that centre forward? But it just never really happened for him.
No, I think we'd said it a couple of weeks ago that Sven-Göran Eriksson thrusting him into that spotlight
Unfair.
Yeah. And obviously, what was he, 16 at the time? You're not going to say no, are you? But he was one that I always thought, every time he got a move, I thought, he'll kick on. He'll kick on, less pressure on him. Like when he went to Everton, wasn't it, for a bit? And I thought, right, there's less pressure on him because it's Everton, but he'll also be the main man. So perhaps this could be like a double kind of like positive, if you know what I mean. Less pressure, but you're also the lad. Go for it. And it just never worked. Yeah,
34 years of age, he announced his retirement. And it felt like he wasn't really doing anything towards the end of last season. I know he scored a goal away at Arsenal, which I think is a nice little sort of final goal of your professional career for your Theo Walcott against Arsenal. Nice bow on things, but it was frustrating.
Yeah.
Because he had the pace, didn't he? He certainly, as I say, around the 09-10 season, 10-11 sort of times, he certainly had the quality, as Rafa Benitez like to say.
We like to say he had the world at his feet, Ross.
That's that Embrace song, isn't it? With the world at your feet.
If you close your eyes, it's Embrace.
Remember Embrace?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great song, Ashes, But that World Cup song, World at Your Feet, was not very good, I thought.
No.
In the pantheon of World Cup songs.
It's not usually my kind of like go-to Embrace.
No.
There's another band called Embrace that I like, though.
Is there?
Yeah.
What do they do?
Like post-hardcore. It's Ian McKay from Minor Threat and Fugazi. It was in between. That's it. This isn't a music podcast. This is a football podcast. What's next, Ross?
It's time for the highlight of the week. I'll go first, as I always do in the highlight segment. It was going to be Mary Earp's massive F off after saving a penalty in the World Cup final. But this week of all weeks, I feel we need to go down to the journalistic work of Adam Crafton of The Athletic, because in the middle of his Mason Greenwood comeback story, without his work, I feel like Mason Greenwood would now be playing for Manchester United again like nothing happened. But he exposed this meeting that Richard Arnold, the Man United bigwig, had at the start of August, and he exposed everything what happened in that meeting. And then from that story coming out, it feels like everything's changed, and that's where we find ourselves today. So I'll just let Adam Crafton himself explain exactly what happened in a recent appearance he did on the News Agents podcast. Never thought I'd say those 3 words on this bollocks.
Let's cut to the VT.
We got hold of details from what had been a hugely extensive plan, which, I think there's a little bit of a movement at the moment from Manchester United to say, we're always weighing up lots of different options even until the end. Well, this plan included details such as, for example, Manchester United had laid out in a document what kind of photographs they should take of Mason Greenwood during training sessions in order to then filter to the public and choreograph the PR around his return and how he would be received. The manager, Erik ten Hag, would receive very, very clear PR guidance in terms of how to handle questions, not only in the short term, but also medium term and the long term. And then I suppose the most devastating detail was that United had even prepared kind of a list of external stakeholders, whether they were football pundits or politicians or journalists, but also crucially domestic abuse charities. And they'd categorised these different stakeholders into whether they would be supportive, open-minded or hostile. And then when we reported on Friday that domestic abuse charities were assumed to be hostile, it felt at that point as though Manchester United were in a real public relations nightmare.
And I suppose the point about that, right, is that what it reveals is just a cynicism, right? It's not that they're sat there thinking, okay, what is the morally right thing to do here? What is the signal that we're sending about alleged or potential domestic abuse and all of these sorts of things, and the relationship that women have with the club? It's just, how do we achieve our ends, which is keeping this guy on the team?
Yeah, over the past week, it's been made very, very clear to us that staff members at Manchester United are very, very unhappy about the way that the club has handled this, to the extent that some were considering going on strike, resignations were being considered. Even on Thursday and Friday, you had senior executives from Manchester United, following our reporting on Wednesday, where we'd said that some employees feel a sense of guilt and shame. They'd started, organising meetings to all of a sudden talk to employees and hear concerns, but more to the point, still at that point, try and justify why they were making this decision to try and bring Greenwood back into the team.
So he's held the club accountable. It's proper, powerful journalism. It's something that we don't see often enough obviously in football, I think. Just, something big, earth-shattering like this happening, a journalist going, whoa, wait there, here's all the facts, not just some of the facts, and then change being brought about because of some brilliant journalism. It's the stuff that really inspired me to go to uni, to become a journalist and get a degree in journalism before my life fell apart, and I found myself here next to you. But that's besides the point. It was just, I thought it was fantastic to see that sort of stuff still happening, because it's a dying art, that sort of journalism in football, I think.
Obviously, of being a Liverpool fan, we've had some great journalists over the years helping to uncover the truth about Hillsborough. And there are good journalists out there. Obviously, the switch from more traditional media to online has kind of prioritised clicks and sensationalism more than actual stories and getting into the nitty-gritty, but fantastic work. Absolutely fantastic work.
Really good. What's your highlight of the week?
My highlight of the week, apart from finding a Real Madrid legend, I was so happy. Told me dad. My dad was like, "What?" My dad's lived in that house for 40 years. Grew up in a road 2 years over. So my dad's been in the area for over 60 years. No one knew.
Bloody hell.
But my highlight of the week, I saw it on Twitter this week and it was doing the rounds. So I know since then it's changed. But did you see the video of the FC Malaga fans?
No.
At the airport. They were annoyed that the club were yet to make any summer signings. So a group of supporters went to the airport arrivals, all in full kit, and got a fella dressed as a security guard. And they just picked someone coming out of arrivals and ran over to him and gave him a shirt with a name on the back and started doing this. And the security fella was like, back away, back away. And it's just some confused looking Asian fella just like posing for photos holding the shirt. Fantastic.
Liverpool airport soon, no doubt, after if no one comes in after Endo.
We'll be tracking the flights of any old silly sausages flying over, but it's what I've called banter, but it's actually a rare form of funny football, actually legitimately funny football banter. I think Malaga have signed some players since.
Oh, that's a shame.
I know, but at first I was just like, brilliant.
The club should have doubled down to the game.
Yeah, but just there's must have been about 15 or 20 of them, but just some fellow with his back, so they're just like, oh, hold me shit, and they're all just going, ah! Brilliant.
That does sound good.
Yeah.
Can we put the video in? I guess it was fan captured.
I will. Let's cut to the VT.
The VT. From that undoubted highlight of the week in the world of football, we go to our fabled segment called the Twat of the Week. Jack Atkins, I'll let you go first this week. Who is your biggest twat?
It's Bernardo Silva. No, it's not. It's the refs. No, it's not. It's Prince William. It's Prince William. Right. Let's get out of, I'm not a big fan of the Royals. That's not for here.
Nobody is up here.
But he is not only the future king, While he's not the head of state, he's a prominent statesman, and he's the president of the FA. And
the FA who runs what?
All football of all levels in England.
Including who?
Including the women's national team, Ross. So Prince William didn't bother going to the World Cup final. Rishi Sunak didn't bother going to the World Cup final.
I wouldn't want him there anyway.
No, you wouldn't want him there anyway, but it's kind of Prince William's job. And he didn't give good enough of a reason for me. He tried peddling it was, we don't want to put too many missions out there flying over to Australia. And it's like, okay. And then there was something else about, we haven't done a proper visit to Australia, like a state visit. And it seemed improper to just pop in and go, all right, we're watching a bit of football, see you later. But then people think it's an ego thing because obviously the last time that William and Kate did a overseas tour, they got heckled because obviously we've had questions about imperialism and Britain's role in, just all the atrocities on earth in the 1800s and early 1900s. And it seems to be a kind of vanity reason. Not only was it the first World Cup final in football for the national team since 1966, he just should have been there. It's part of his role. Yeah. And what we've said many times, for the English women's game especially, but it just feels like there's a groundswell. This is the most important World Cup finals for the women's game ever, possibly. Yeah. He had no good reason to not go there. Like was it the Spanish
Spanish Prime Minister.
And did the King of Spain go?
I don't know.
But
they've got like a temporary Prime Minister at the minute. I think he was there.
Yeah, but there's Spanish representation. Like
he should have been there.
What if the England team would have won?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he would have been on the first plane out there.
Exactly. So it's a twat.
He is a twat.
Yeah.
There was also that statement, that little video statement he put on Twitter where he sat on the bench next to his daughter.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Just go, look, I've got a daughter who cares. She's holding a football. Get out of here.
I'm an Aston Villa fan.
Piss off, I'm going to go for the Spanish Football Federation President Luis Rubiales for kissing Jenny Hermoso on the lips in the midst of the trophy presentation at the World Cup on Sunday. Really uncomfortable watch.
Yeah.
He's released an apology, but thankfully, Spain's acting Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said on Tuesday that his apology for doing what he did wasn't sufficient. And Spain's acting second Deputy Prime Minister, Yolanda Diaz, has called for Rubiales to resign from his post.
Yeah.
He's not going to get away with it, and it's good.
Good.
It was horrible to see.
It's one of those horrible throwbacks. Like we all fondly remember Sepp Blatter being in charge of the FA, and when he said about the women's team.
FIFA.
Oh, sorry, FIFA.
Not the FA. He's not Prince William.
The FIFA. That's what I meant. And what was it? He was encouraging like skimpier kits, wasn't he, for the women's game, and maybe swapping shirts and that. It's one of those horrible old horny throwbacks.
The old toad, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's just stop it. Just stop it, twat.
Yeah, massive twat. And I hope he loses his job because that was horrible to watch anyway. We go from the bad part of the week to my favourite part as my Lucozade backfires once again. Because it's now time for what happened to that wunderkind. Jack Atkins finally bringing it back after several months away.
I can't help the fact I want to do it every other week. And it was meant to be last week, but there's a little thing called the start of the season. So we had to put a pin in it. But it's back. I thought I'd save it for being here in the office and seeing your lovely eyes light up in
My
person.
ass is twitching like a rabbit's nose. I'm not excited.
Oh, a little bit of admin going forward. I have now got a better microphone at home. Yes. So once I get that all set up, it should be crystal clear audio. But still the same level of, professionalism, which is,
What do you mean? I think we're doing quite well.
We're doing all right. Yeah, we've reached...
This could be on the radio.
This could.
Yeah. On our radio.
He's Ross, I'm Jack, and this is football.
It's your wicked, wacky happening of the week there, Jack Atkins. Oh, God.
So this week's Wunderkind is not the kind of Wunderkind you think of. It's not a Pato or a Bojan. It's not an attacking player that you think, this could be the new Steve Guppy. No. I've gone this week because I class it as a Wunderkind at the time. The most popular man in Sunderland, Jack Rodwell.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
To be fair, there was a period of time when he definitely was a Wunderkind.
Yeah. He and obviously he was more of a defensively minded player. And unless you're Paolo Maldini, you're not really going to be a Wunderkind back.
But he did have that little burst of getting forward. I remember that goal he scored against Man City. Was it Man United? One of the mans.
He scored against some mans. Yeah, because he could have as we like to say, a thunder bastard on him, didn't he? So I'll go through my notes. You settle in.
I've settled in.
So he's another top talent developed by Everton's academy. Rodwell primarily played as centre-back until he broke into the first team, where he transitioned into a DM, became Everton's youngest ever player to feature for the team in Europe, coming on as a sub in a 3-2 win over AZ Alkmaar at 16 years and 284 days in his senior debut.
Sickening.
Yeah. Signed a pro contract at 17 in March 2008. He'd stay in Everton's first team for 5 years, helped the Toffees reach the FA Cup final in 2009, cemented a Europa League place going into the 09-010 season. This is under the glory days of Cockney David Moyes. But he would have a few injury setbacks at Everton, particularly in the 11-12 season. And after Moyes went to Man U, there were rumours that he was going to join him, which at the time we were thinking, yeah, young, gifted English player, why not? But he wouldn't go to Man U. He'd go to Man City. They signed him then 21 years old, 12 million in summer 2012. Start of his career at City was positive, but injuries would just batter him. So in the 12-13 season, 15 appearances, all competitions. 13-14, not only did he only make 10 apps all season, he also lost his place when he was fit, but did qualify for a Premier League winners' medal. So
Sickening once again.
yeah. But in his time at City, he'd missed 69 games due to injury.
Nice.
Grow up. Not having it. Not having it.
We're
No.
professional radio presenters. Look at this. Nice.
Isn't that when you put your face in someone's crotch and they do the same? But at Everton, he missed 34 games. He would make his way to Sunderland after 2 seasons at City. So 2 seasons at City, he'd missed 69 games across all competitions. Don't say it again. Sunderland believes to have paid around £10 million for his services. He didn't hold back in his criticism of his time at City, and he urged English players to think twice before signing with them as he went to Sunderland. So injury-wise, it was better. He only missed 13 games across his entire time at the club, but he had a reputation for being a sick note, and there was a little series called Sunderland Till I Die, which painted him in a bad light. Part of that could be because he had an ego, but as we've seen with Dele Alli recently as well, we do now have to kind of look back and think how much of this was done in the editing room, if you know what I mean. He's not popular on Sunderland. I think it's safe to say.
He's a poster boy for that sort of weird decline they had where when they did spend money, it did go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
they didn't spend too much money in that era of time.
No.
Did the Magnums. I know this because I was at uni at this point of time when he signed. I think I just graduated actually in the summer of 2014,
Yeah.
So that period of time was a very strange one for Sunderland.
It was an odd time for him and for Sunderland, because obviously Sunderland was... I'll stop saying that now. That's one thing I loved about living up here. Just go,
Sunderland. Which is, by the way, we should explain. That's how people from Sunderland say the word Sunderland. Sunderland.
Like people from Liverpool say Lib Poo. Come on, Lib Poo. Get out, man. Lib Poo. So,
At the top of the cop at the end of the road.
Exactly.
Just like that.
From Kingston, Jamaica there. So Sunderland obviously cycling through managers as the status in the Premier League was looking uncertain. They were relegated at the end of the 16-17 season, and Rodwell was on a high wage, and it wasn't... I don't know if it ever came out that they said to him, oh, do you fancy leaving? But he refused. Obviously, fans weren't happy. He had signed a contract. He was within his right.
Yeah.
This is...
It's the weird one when you get that sort of situation.
By the letter of the law, he was right. If we were in that situation, we'd like to think we'd have the moral higher ground, but if we're getting paid out the arse, we probably would do the same.
Your prospects of a new deal from a different club are going to be half, if not less, than what you're currently on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he apparently still stands by it. He's like, no, I was earning good money. I was going to stay there. The fans got wind of it, didn't like it. Obviously, the stuff from Sunderland Till I Die didn't help his cause. So in January 2018, he hadn't played since September 2017. He went, I want to leave. So he went, cool. Here's a trial at Vitesse Arnhem, which was cancelled. And he found himself back in Sunderland. So Sunderland got relegated once again, and it was revealed that Chris Coleman and Jack Rodwell had suffered a big fallout and never got back on the same page. He was eventually released by Sunderland in June 2018 and was voted the worst signing in club history by 2 local papers.
That is horrible considering it is Sunderland we're talking about.
Yeah.
Some of the signings they made in the... My God.
Yeah.
I remember when I was at uni, they signed someone called Alvarez, where they signed him on a loan with obligation to buy or something. And then, obviously, they tried to play him, but he couldn't play because he's always injured or something. Then they still had to buy him at the end of the thing.
Rough.
Even though he never played. Oh, I need to try and find him now.
But apparently Jack Rodwell was worse than this. So after he'd been released, he'd go to Blackburn on a 1-year deal in August 2018, now aged only 26.
That's unbelievable.
26 at
How
this
old
time.
is he now?
I think he's 31.
My God, he's the same age as me. Yeah, Ricky Alvarez is the guy I'm talking about for
I
Sunderland.
recognise that name.
Yeah, he joined on deadline day in 2014. Initially a loan with a view to a permanent switch if Sunderland avoided relegation, so they stayed up and then had to sign him, even though he was bloody awful.
Oh my God. But yeah, talking about, falling down the league. So Rodwell ended up Blackburn. Yeah. 1-year deal, August 2018. He got 22 appearances under his belt and he was offered a new deal but turned it down. And there was rumblings that he could go to Roma. But it didn't.
How and why?
Right. It didn't happen anyway because they were just like, oh, Blackburn's Jack Rodwell. Nah, we're all right. So he left the club August 2019 out of contract. January 2020, he arrives at Sheffield United, but would only make 2 league appearances due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
That's when they're a Premier League club as well, isn't it?
Exactly. This was his Premier League return after a couple of years in the wilderness. So he only made 2 league appearances that season and signed a further 1-year deal, but was released at the end of the 2020-21 season without making any further appearances for the club.
Brutal.
But he's now in Australia's A-League. Part of the reasoning was he said, the usual, I want a new challenge. His wife is Australian. So I think
that's worked out nicely, hasn't it?
I think she said to him, come on, let's not live in Sunderland, Sheffield or Blackburn again, please. Can we go back to Sydney? He's probably gone, yeah. So he plays in Australia's A-League, did 1 season with the Western Sydney Wanderers, then transferred to Sydney FC ahead of the 22-23 season on a 2-year deal. Still playing. But it seems like with most of these tales, it was a mixture of injury woes. It was a mixture of possibly moving at too young of an age. Because at 21, I was an idiot.
Yeah, everybody is.
Yeah.
When you get to your 30s, you realise how much of a twat you were. Even if you think you're not a twat, you are a twat. If you're 21 and you're watching this, you are a twat.
You are a twat.
And you'll realise you're a twat when you're 31.
Yeah. Because heading into my 30s, I was gutted. I was like, oh, I'm turning 30. And then the second I turned 30, I went, I get it now. Your 20s is you learning to be an adult. So when you get to your 30s, you can go, right. And so far, my 30s have been much better than my 20s. I've done far less interesting stuff. I've bought less stupid things. I've, gotten into plants and having a cat and having a sensible bedtime. It's wonderful. Yeah. And hopefully Jack Rodwell's enjoying that in Sydney. So I think it was the mixture of the Sunderland documentary didn't help his cause. The idea of him being the kind of pampered young English player earning too much money didn't help. Injury record didn't help. Too much too young didn't help. And he's, again, like we said with others, a perfectly fine career. I'd like to have this career. Maybe without the vitriol from the people of Sunderland.
The worst ever signing's a massive thing to have on your shoulders.
Yeah, but he earns a living playing football. He's got an Australian wife. I've not seen her, but when you hear the words Australian wife, you usually think they're probably quite good looking. Yeah. He's got a Premier League winners medal, even though I think he made 5 league appearances that season. It's just another usual case of the wunderkind where you're like, oh, well, that's...
He's got caps for England as well. I'm just reading there. The last cap was 10 years ago. So.
I think he's got 3 in total, has he?
Yeah. But there we go. I'm just looking at who he's sharing a squad with currently in terms of names we might recognise. And the only one we could recognise is former Nottingham Forest winger Joe Lolly.
How old is he?
Joe Lolly, 30.
No.
No. He played for Forest between 18 and 22, 159 league games, 24 goals. One cap for the England C team in 2013. That's Joe Lolly.
Yeah. Well, we all know I'm a big fan of the England C team. Well, I would have seen him playing in the league the other year, but he didn't stick out to me.
There we go. That's the notable name he's sharing his team with.
Well, I mentioned it before to Aidan Gibbons, and he said, currently one of the 3 Premier English talents playing abroad.
Bellingham, who's the other one? Kane, obviously.
Bellingham, Kane, and Jack Rodwell.
Rodwell.
Flying the flag.
Oh, the Rodwell. So yeah, a career of what might have been, but also as a Newcastle fan, quite a funny turn of events, really.
Again, we love a bit of Schadenfreude.
We move on from what happened to that Wunderkind, which we'll see again in 2 weeks' time. Don't let us down.
Ooh, on my new mic as well.
Yeah, oh, it's going to sound even better. Sound effects as well. He had his own soundboard.
Oh,
Oh my God.
that was the horn.
We've arrived. Oh, I don't know why I don't have my hands. Mailbag, everybody.
Oh,
If you want to get in contact. Ross at holdandgive.com is where you send your emails. We kick things off. Good day, lads. I assume after this email, England will have won the World Cup and you're all buzzing. Well, you're a bastard. I'd need to check if he sent this after the World Cup actually happened, because I've no doubt he will have done. My question is this: will this encourage you to watch women's football more regularly? Also, what's been your favourite goal of the World Cup? Mine was Sam Kerr versus England. What a worldie! But you still lost, didn't you? Cheers, lads. Love and hold and give and all the content. That's from Frank from Australia, who also says, P.S. Up the Pools, which needs to make a comeback, but I can't find enough time in the week.
Oh, like as in...
Hartlepool.
I was going to say, was it the mixture of Hartlepool, Blackpool and Liverpool? Or are we talking like the old betting syndicate, the Pools with Spot the Ball?
But there we go. Will you be watching women's football more regularly after the World Cup?
Yeah, I went to the women's Merseyside derby the first one that they held in Anfield, and it was great. It was really good game of football. I do have to say I did fall in love with one of the Liverpool team, but I was only paying attention to it because she had a really good game, and then afterwards I was like, oh, fantastic.
She can do it all.
Yeah, she can do it all. I'm not going to name her because that would be crass. But no, I'm game for it, especially in a world where when I can get a ticket to the men's game, I can afford to go, but if it's more affordable to go to the women's game, then I will. I know, again, the next Merseyside Women's Derby is going to be in Anfield, so I'll be going to it.
Yeah, that's my aim for this season, because the whole ticket getting process in Newcastle now is completely changed. So you're in a ballot now. So you're either going to get to some games, you could get to all the games you apply for, or you could get to none of the games you apply for. So that lottery of just getting a ticket to Newcastle is going to see me go to more Newcastle women's games, because they are now part of the football club.
Yeah.
The Saudis brought them in and made them like an official part of the football club for the first time in their history. And Kayla from the channel, she wants to get to a game at St James's Park, and that just won't happen with the men's team. So the women's team will be getting visited. They will be.
Are the women's team going to be playing from St James's? Yeah.
They have a couple of games this season. They've not announced it yet, but they do have a couple of games this season.
I just had a weird moment then, because I forgot that I don't live in the Tyne and Wear area anymore. I was just like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to get to a Liverpool game. I was like, it's like you live back in Liverpool,
Walk
Jack.
down the road.
Yeah.
And also, just to answer the question about the favourite goal at the Women's World Cup, a couple of nominations from me was Lauren James's deft volley against China. That was, it was Dimitar Berbatov-esque.
Yeah.
Where she caressed it in the
It was
far
wonderful.
corner. And also a goal which was hammered home to me by Kayla's dad, who's a big fan of women's football. It was hammered home to me what a sort of like a momentous occasion Colombia beating Germany was, just because relative minnows compared to the might of Germany, all that sort of stuff. Linda Caicedo's goal, where she's in the box and she does some sort of trickery and then just thwacks it in the far top corner.
Yeah.
That's a bit of me, that.
Yeah, I didn't watch too much of the World Cup, mainly because I'm not much of an internationals guy.
You're not being from Liverpool.
Being from Liverpool,
They're all like that. It's true. They're all like that in Liverpool. Aren't they?
I did see a funny. I did see a funny tweet. I did have a little chuckle after the World Cup final, not because of the result. I wanted the women. I don't like the term lionesses.
Why not?
I just like the women's national team. I just like it. Like I like it's the women's national team. We fought so hard for the women's game to be on a pedestal. They call them the women's team, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I did have a little chuckle from it, because I think, like, Spore for something put, is there anything harder than being an England fan? And a Liverpool fan just quote tweeted saying, yeah, Liverpool losing a throw-in. And I was like, yeah. But the way I saw the Caicedo goal was obviously being a Liverpool fan, scrolling through Twitter, trying to find news on Moises Caicedo at the time. I was just like, that's a bit good. But I've got to find,
I'm going to Google her age, not because of any weird reasons, because I think she's really young. She broke some sort of record with the goal. Linda Caicedo is 18. Oh, my God. Born on the 22nd of February, 2005.
If you're a twat at 21, you're definitely a twat at 18.
Not Linda, though. Linda's putting goals with that in the
She
World
can
Cup.
twat it into the back net.
Yeah, she really could. What a goal it was.
My one for me, because yeah, Lauren James was the standout for me as well. But it was the free kick, Panama free kick, Marta Cox against France.
Yes, it was France.
Yeah. And it was weird because it was and it wasn't Roberto Carlos-esque. Bit of a
You
run-up.
said that in such a satisfying way. Say Roberto Carlos-esque again.
Roberto Carlos-esque. Not quite the 400-yard run-up that Roberto Carlos had, but like absolute foot like a traction engine. But the ball kind of like it was weird. It hung in the air. It floated in the air and then battered into the top. Oh, it was wonderful.
You've never seen a free kick hit better, have you?
Probably not. Not since Roberto Carlos, at
The only
least.
thing that kept it out of my two favourite goals of the tournament is the fact it didn't hit the underside of the bar. If it hit the underside of the bar, bounced up and hit the roof of the net, that's when we're talking.
I read an article the other year about why it feels more, why it's better.
Emphatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's because of the margin of error, knowing that if it was like an inch higher, it would have gone. Obviously, there's the nice aesthetics, there's the ping and all that, but it's knowing that, if that was an inch, whoa.
And it's how vicious the ball comes down as well and goes straight back. Oh,
Yeah.
bouncy balls. Lads,
Up the bouncy ball.
Up the bouncy balls. Lads, which Premier League player do you think you could take in a race? I'm watching Thiago Silva plod around and I honestly think I could take him. Who are you beating? Regards, Adam.
This is a bit of a low blow. I'm going to say Dominic Calvert-Lewin because he's never fit.
I'm just sad Mark Knowles retired because that's the one person I could have taken, I think.
Yeah, that was a bit poo-housery for me, but I'll
Try to look for the most recent data there is on the slowest Premier League players. Who is the slowest player on FIFA 20? Because obviously that's a barometer of the real. Who's the slowest player on FIFA 22?
The only thing I used to look at FIFA 20 is who was higher in the aggression stakes. Was it Gattuso, Pepe, or Joey Barton? That was the one I always used to look at.
Wow, apparently the slowest player in FIFA 22 was Jose Fontebebe, former Southampton Portugal centre-half. 38 years old he was back when this article was written, whenever it was, and he had a pace rate of only 32.
I'll tell you, like, despite how I look, I have a bit of quickness to me, but even the slowest Premier League player is absolutely burning me off. But like I said, if Dominic Calvert-Lewin's not feeling fit, I'll take the chances.
Apparently, according to an article by the Daily Mirror a couple of years ago, the slowest player apparently in the league, or the slowest recorded speeds of a sprint or something, was James McArthur of Crystal Palace, who clocked a speed of 24.776 kilometres an hour versus Fulham.
I wonder who the player who sounds like they should be the fastest is, because I'm thinking of Steed Malbronk, just because obviously he's a noble steed.
Steed, yeah.
Yeah.
Until he signed for Sunderland.
Or Gary Speed.
Gary Speed, yeah.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Ian Rush.
Yeah.
Jimmy Fast.
Yeah. Steve Quickly.
Yeah.
Former Southampton manager Steve Quickly.
Barry runs a bit, yeah.
Let us know who you could beat in a race who currently plays in the Premier League. There must be a keeper out there who's looking a bit hefty. Burnley's substitute goalkeeper, I forget what his name was. He was the first choice last season before they signed Trafford. All right, Muric, is it? All right, I could take him.
Yeah. But as soon as you said keepers, in my head I went, Steve Ogrizovic is quite old. I was like,
he was old in the year 2000.
Yeah, he also retired 30 years ago.
So yeah, let us know who you could beat in a race in the comments down below. The concept of a cult hero is a weird one, lads. But I love loving a bad player who everyone else isn't keen on is a bit of me, I guess that's meant to say. Who is your biggest cult hero and why does nobody outside of your good selves appreciate them? All the best, Benny from Scarborough. Just picturing the guy from ABBA now, Benny. Tickling the ivory. Is that what his name, was it? Benny?
Yeah,
Benny.
Benny Bjorn.
Benny Bjorn. And the two lasses.
Agneta, who I told Sean, when I saw those ABBA holograms came out, I went, Sean, cover your ears. Actually, don't cover your ears. You need to hear this. Agneta, the hologram, is still really fit. And she just went, you're horrible.
Is that the blonde one?
Yeah.
Because she was a child. I read this on TikTok the other day when Kayla was showing me some TikToks, so it must be true. She was the child of some sort of Nazi childbirth program.
Right?
I don't know why you even
She was gorgeous in the 70s. That's all I know.
But who is the biggest cult hero in Liverpool history, in your opinion?
The biggest is either Gary McAllister, Craig Johnson, I'd say.
Well, his mullet.
Of his mullet and his creating of the Adidas Predator boots. Divock Origi is up there. For me, my cult Liverpool player was only cult for me because he was crap. And that was Sean Dundee. Only because I remember when he signed, I was at my cousin's and it was a pre-season friendly and we kept going, oh, Sean Dundee, oh, Sean Dundee. And we were just hyping it up. And then Sean Dundee came on. We go, Sean Dundee. It's so much so that the other year I got, for Christmas, my cousin gave me an envelope and went, here you are. And I went, oh, you've not given me money, have you? That's we used to get each other like a white Toblerone and maybe an old wrestling figure. And I opened it. And there's a clipping from the Liverpool Echo when Steve Staunton and Sean Dundee signed, and it was signed by Steve Staunton and Sean Dundee. And I was like, that's amazing. And it went on my fridge. And when Sean and I first started going out, she went, ooh, who are those Liverpool players? Are they good? I was like, well, Steve Staunton's quite good, but Sean Dundee, Sean. And the fact you don't know, Sean Dundee, that's your new name. But yeah, he's my cult guy, Sean Dundee.
Yeah.
How many times can I say Sean Dundee?
I don't know.
A few more.
Keep doing it.
Go on.
To qualify being a cult hero, you have to have been bad and then done something good and out of character and unexpected and then become a cult hero. That's my journey for a cult hero.
Okay.
Because some people just put in people like, I've just read an article there just trying to trigger some memories in case I forgot them. Saying Tino Asprey is a cult hero at Newcastle.
No.
Like, nah, that's not the qualification.
He's fondly remembered, but I wouldn't say he's a cult hero. Like,
he's too good to be a cult hero.
I think Gary Mack and Divock Origi are too big to be cult heroes.
Divock Origi is a fantastic modern day example of a cult hero.
But I don't think that's because he was bad. I think that's because everyone around him was so much better.
But he shouldn't be scoring like the Champions League ceiling goal, should he?
Divock
Origi.
So some of the goals against Everton, obviously 2 against Barcelona. But for yourself,
from my fandom of Newcastle, there's 2 standouts. The first one is Shola from Fenham.
yeah.
Who did some things to the Mackhams over the years because he was absolutely awful. But somehow, the only Newcastle manager between the years of the year 2000 and 2015, I think, or 14, who tried to get rid of him, good and proper, was Sam Allardyce. Every other Newcastle manager kept him around for some reason.
Yeah.
Alan Pardew bloody loved him. Obviously, he scored all those goals against Sunderland. I think he's maybe the second or the first record goal scorer in Europe for Newcastle.
Okay.
Because of our exploits in the Champions League. He was on him and Walwar. There's a backup striker for Shearer and Bellamy. They were on fire in the Champions League. And also the Europa campaign under Pardew, I guess you throw in there as well. The one under Glenn Roeder as well in 06, 07.
I always forget about Glenn Roeder.
So the fact he did all that and stayed just at Newcastle for as long as he did, he's prime cult hero status. And he's a little bit funny.
Yeah.
He's a little bit funny. There's a video on the Newcastle YouTube channel, showed us a tour of the new training ground. He's in the sauna room, the new sauna room. He's like, things get a little bit steamy in here. He starts being creepy. Fantastic. And the other one's James Perch. James Perch signed for Newcastle in 2010 from Nottingham Forest for, I think it was less than $1 million or maybe 1.5 million. Just a utility man, filling when he can at the back. I think he scored 2 own goals in his first few games. Everyone wrote him off, and then he came back in the 12-13 season, and Pardew had a bit of an injury crisis, started playing him CDM.
Ooh.
This guy he signed as a maybe 3rd choice left back, 2nd choice right back, 3rd choice centre back, whatever, played him centre midfield, and he became prime Gattuso. The tackles he would put in would make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, the crunch in every single one. He was unreal for a little period of time. And then at the end of his unreal spell, we sold him to Wigan for 750 grand. But for his performances, the blood he shed, James Perch.
Prime Gattuso, and that holds weight with me. Gattuso is possibly my favourite player ever.
Really?
I loved him.
A bit good.
Sometimes maybe good. I think partly the fact that he was in that Milan squad, which is amazing. He was a really good player, but the fact that he was an absolute head the ball as well.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That tussle as with, what was that Portsmouth coach called? Joe Jordan.
Joe Jordan.
Know each other.
Who apparently everyone who was around who was around to watch him in the 70s said, "Oh, you're not doing that to Joe Jordan."
But we also called him Perchinho, which obviously, taking the piss out of him because he wasn't very good, but he's also Brazilian. He's a fantastic man. So that'd be my 2 standout cult heroes at Newcastle, Shola and Perchinho.
Does Shola still live in the area?
Yeah, he's Newcastle's loan manager currently.
Wow, okay.
He manages the loans of the players.
Fantastic.
He organises them. He gets them there.
Do you reckon he'll be in that Adidas campaign?
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
He would be warm with a lot of the kids. So he did between the years of 2000 and 2009.
Oh, superb. Get him in.
Yeah.
Get him back in.
Way aye. Up the cult heroes. Let us know who your cult heroes are in the comments down below. If you want to send an email in to this illustrious podcast, it's ross@holdandgiveallthewords.com. We end with the big question, and this is a bastard I've picked this week. But where's Mason Greenwood going to play next?
Ooh.
Who's going to take Mason Greenwood? I saw he got linked, obviously, to Saudi Arabia because that's where everyone's going. And even Steven Gerrard says, Al Etty, you know what, because we got demonetized, don't want him because of what's alleged to against his name.
Yeah.
So where the hell is he going to go? Because by the sounds of the statement that Richard Arnold put out, they're not going to release Mason Greenwood. They're going to have him go away from the club for a period of time with the view to coming back. Not once it's all blown over, but that's very much the gist I'm getting from his statement.
But I mean, those allegations are going to follow him for the rest of his career.
Oh, yeah, rest of his life.
Like, again, based all on alleged stuff, but it followed Stan Collymore in the 90s. But we have seen players come back to the game. Obviously, different set of stuff, but like Niall Ranger came back after, I'll just put it as brushes with the law. This isn't me downplaying anything. It's just trying to say without saying stuff.
Yeah.
It's a weird one because the letter of the law, the charges were dropped.
That's what we've got to say there. The CPS dropped all their charges, and also Greenwood denied all the charges. And Richard Arnold, who apparently led this investigation, said he was satisfied that Greenwood was innocent.
Yeah.
Just got to say that because that's the factual stuff that's happened.
Yeah. And I'm a believer in rehabilitation, and I'm a believer in, people getting back on with their lifestyle, or well, not the lifestyle, with their life and their career. But I think it's the fact that it is football, where we know that even if you have an all right career, you're going to end up very well off. I think that's what changes it.
Yeah.
Never mind the fact it's in the public eye. I don't know. I want something public.
I think that's where I was going with it, because I was sitting there thinking, could he go to Italy or something? I think that's irrelevant. I think him publicly showing he's doing stuff to change,
Yeah.
and then showing he's changed over a period of time and not going back to what we all heard the tapes, didn't we? I think my mind was made up upon hearing them. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
But
It's
showing that he's not going back to that, I think that goes a long way in terms of sort of reintegrating him into football.
It's-
But it's stuck to him forever now, as far as I'm concerned.
It's a different kettle of fish. It's a different scenario. Obviously, in our other day jobs with our wrestling hats on, with Jay Briscoe of Ring of Honor, said lots of really bad homophobic stuff over the years, but showed that he atoned and learned and grew and changed, so that it can be done. Obviously, a different scenario because there was no criminal activity there, alleged or otherwise, etc., etc. But it's a hard one because the human being side of me thinks, just let him get on with his life, but at the same time, you just but you want something.
Yeah.
You want something.
His status is a chance to do something best of good out of a horrible situation.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
it's a hard thing to put into words, isn't it? Again,
Yeah, I hope I haven't come across flippant or anything like that, but it's just, it is a difficult conversation, but
where's he going to go though?
I think he'll probably stay in Britain.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. I didn't say England, Britain. Maybe Scotland a bit lower. I don't know, because obviously...
I'm just shocked that Saudi said no.
Yeah.
Of all the places to turn him down because of what he's done.
And this was, again, different, but Steven Gerrard had John Flanagan at Rangers, and John Flanagan had allegations of not as severe as Mason Greenwood, but
I didn't know that about John Flanagan.
domestic stuff, allegations, but was taken by Gerrard at Rangers anyway. So I do think the high-profile nature of it has seen some teams maybe wanting to avoid the kind of PR disaster that United have. And you know that football's unscrupulous. If there wasn't a PR disaster, there'd be tons of teams who'd be willing for a player of that quality and caliber. But
It is. As sane as you might think your own football team is, there's no morals in football.
No,
There
not
never
at all.
has been. It's all just money.
Unless you're like Forest Green Rovers, St. Pauli, or, there's a handful of teams, but on the most part, no morals at all. So,
Yeah. So as I said to you now, I can't answer the question I've asked myself.
no.
Where's he going to end up? He's going to end up somewhere. I think that's what we can say. Because he's not being sacked by Man United. I think he'll end up back at Man United eventually. Because it feels like Richard Arnold is hell-bent on just getting him back into the fold. And he's the guy who makes all the calls on the day-to-day basis at Man United. So,
Like you said, if he was like the third choice keeper, he would have probably been sacked. Or if he was 28 or 29, they'd be like, right, you've made your money, just go away, retire. But I think it's the fact that he is such a young age as well. Yeah. Because as we've seen, again, a completely different thing. But with the work that Trent Alexander-Arnold did, highlighting players who get dropped at a young age when they've been brought up saying, you football, you football, you football, you football, now go figure it out. Obviously, if you put that on a 21-year-old, but also with this, spectre of everything that's happened, you don't know what effects that could have.
Yeah.
That could have personal effects on him. If he is this kind of person that the Chargers say he was, if he was kicked out of the game completely, he could go on like a kind of bitter, horrible path. Again, these are all speculative. We don't know. This is all whataboutery. But unfortunately, I think there are going to be more cases like this, because it's unfortunate.
It's money corrupting the young mind, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because the way, again, you all heard the audio, didn't we? The way he spoke and that, it's just like there was no sense of real life to what, because obviously he's not had a real life, has he? From the age of whatever, just having money thrown at him, it must be that like superiority complex of like, I'm Mason Greenwood, I play for Man United, I get X amount of pounds a year and all that sort of stuff.
Especially if you've been getting told that since you were like 8 years old as well.
Yeah, but that's still no defence for what you.
No, of course not at all.
What we heard in the audio at least. So yeah, it's an impossible question to answer. I don't know why I asked it. Hopefully, we'll have a happier end of the podcast next week. But I feel like this sort of thing, it would be easy to ignore it, like us sat here now. But I think it's important to talk about this sort of stuff when it does happen in football.
Yeah, it's
as hard as it is. It's a bitch to be sat here talking about it. Let's be honest. I know we've said it a fair few times now, but you don't want to say the wrong thing, do you?
No.
And like, it's a hard thing to sometimes put into words in your own mind, because it sometimes one person takes that as a different thing you're trying to say, which you're not trying to say anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Because if this was a discussion that wasn't being recorded, obviously you can come back to it at a later date to a discussion. But because this is obviously a bit of recorded media and put out there, you can't converse with a recording, if you know what I mean. As weird as that sounds.
I mean, for what it's worth, I'd have sacked him straight away, me.
Oh,
Upon
yeah.
hearing that audio,
yeah,
gone. There's no smoke without fire. 100%. Yeah. But that's where we find ourselves today. Just once again, the CPS dropped all charges. Greenwood denied all charges. Richard Arnold, who led the investigation, was happy that he was innocent of what he was alleged to have done. So that's the factual bit out the way there. That was it. What a bastard of a question to ask. But there we go. We've done it.
We've done it.
We've done it, kind of. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. We'll be back next Wednesday. Back, not in the same room, virtually.
We'll both be very tired next week.
We will be both very tired next week. It'll be an incredible thing if we actually get the podcast done, actually. Thinking of the week that we've got ahead.
Yeah.
Watch this space. If it gets live, it's live. If it's not live, you know why it's not live. Because of our other stuff with the world of professional wrestling and a certain big event that we're both going to in different capacities in London this weekend.
Hence why I'm in the studio this week.
Hence why he's in the studio. Because it makes sense for him to come even more north before going south.
Prep, baby. Prep. And I wanted to see him.
Just like Vanilla Ice said.
Definitely.
Prep. No, it's the Bloodhound Gang I'm thinking of.
Prep, baby. Prep, baby. Come and do a podcast.
Right, I've been Ross, joined by Jack Atkins. Thank you for watching Up the Hole and Give. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Now roll VT.